Welcome everyone to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John King. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn. And if you're watching here on YouTube, make sure to hit a like, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and share this link. It helps me to get it out there and for new people to find me. Also, make sure to subscribe, guys. Hopefully, we got the microphone going here. Yeah, it looks like we're going. I don't know what has happened, but the last, I don't know, two or three videos that I've tried to do, whenever I start the video, my mic has been muted and I haven't been able to get it working. So I've had to actually like restart the last couple of shows I've did. So tonight we've got a pretty good one. I got a pretty late start on this one. This one shouldn't be super long tonight, but there's been a lot of interesting things happening, and this seems to be like a daily occurrence now. You know, you guys are probably familiar. Every time we kind of turn around, there's one more thing that they're adding into the mix. Especially since Trump has taken office, it seems like things are now like starting to go at a breakneck speed. We have RFK pissing off Bernie Sanders. We have the illegal aliens going to be pushed over to Guantanamo Bay. We have FEMA camps. We have all types of interesting stuff. We even have a plane crashing in Philadelphia. So we're going to be taking a look at all that tonight, guys. Like I said, thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate support to the channel, we are completely viewer powered. You can do that by going to PayPal, Cash App, Facebook Messenger, or joining us over on Patreon. All the links are in the description box down below. And make sure to follow us on all of our other social media platforms and our content creation platforms. Hopefully we can get this thing going here. And if you haven't checked out the last couple of videos that we did, man, I've been cranking out the content here recently. We've been really putting it out there, so I got quite a few new videos up for those that are interested, and especially right now, there's so much, especially pertaining to the biotech agenda and, what we see taking place with AI and just how things are being pushed. And I mean, everything is being framed in a really fucking weird way too. You've got kind of a few different schools of thought when it comes to, Trump retaking the office. And you've got the people that love him and that believe, Operation Warp Speed stopped everybody from going to FEMA camps. And, they believe he's taken on the deep state and, that we're avoiding the New World Order and all of that. And then you've got, the other group of people that absolutely hate the guy and, feel as if he's the Antichrist. He's going to start World War III. And then you've got people like us that, kind of see between the bullshit and know that both of the wings belong to the same bird. That even though it may appear as if some of these politicians are on your side and they're doing things that may even seem like they're in your best interest, it's what's called controlled opposition. So we're going to go ahead and get the screen share going, start jumping into these articles, guys. Give me one moment here. Sorry, I got to go around my camera here. There we go. All right. So hopefully you guys can hear me and see me and everything is coming through clearly. We're going to start here first. Let me check the phone over here. All right. There we go. Yeah, it looks like we're live. All right. And if you guys are in the chat. All right. Okay. And if you guys are in the chat, make sure to hit that like, hit that thumbs up. It helps with the algorithms. It allows new people to, jump in, and the more people in the chat, the merrier. So we start off first. An autopilot military attack on civilians. DARPA awarded Lockheed $6 million to install autonomous systems on U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopters. Quote, the Matrix autonomy system forms the core of DARPA's Alias Aircrew Labor in Cockpit Automation Systems program. As part of Alias in 2020, Sikorsky provided the hardware and engineering support to add fly-by-wire flight controls to the MX aircraft. When combined with the Matrix autonomy system, the MX aircraft will be a near exact copy of Sikorsky's UH-60A fly-by-wire, optionally piloted Black Hawk helicopter, the company's flying lab that has tested Matrix autonomy over hundreds of flight hours. Now, this is a video of the Lockheed Des Moines remote flight on this helicopter that is 3 months old. It is being flown from 300 miles away from Washington, D.C. And this is the new thing. I have a video I posted over on Facebook, showing like the Chinese drones. You guys know that in the news, I believe in December 2024, the United States finally admitted to it. They were flying drones over DC as well. A lot of people thought they were UFOs. And then you look at like Elon Musk and Tesla and this agenda for autonomous vehicles. Everything, especially when it comes to warfare, is going to be based in technology now. And, we're going to be seeing more and more unmanned aircraft, unmanned helicopters. And, this doesn't bode well, especially, for, I believe just, the general population, because for one, the ability, the cameras on these things, just say they wanted to surveil everyone, and blanket, and they already had this going on. They've launched tens and tens and tens of thousands of satellites all over the place, right? So the entire world is basically covered in cameras, but it's now to the point to where they could use robotics, artificial intelligence to not only identify threats and identify targets, but to strike on them, and there's no human decision whatsoever involved.
We're working hand in hand with the Army to modernize Black Hawk, to incorporate new technology, new capabilities to create the Black Hawk of the future. And one critical technology of all these things is autonomy. And that brings me here today.
Are we really going to fly this optimally piloted autonomous Black Hawk in Connecticut from 300 miles away right here in Washington, D.C.? And the answer is a resounding yes, we're going to.
You're going to see the aircraft come up to a stabilized hover, and this is going to simulate contested logistics operations where we would have a ground crew hooking up a sling load to the aircraft.
And this aircraft is holding position remarkably well.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin. We already know that they're a major player in the military-industrial complex, so the whole thing with the autonomous vehicles, all of the drones and shit like that, this just kind of plays into the things that we've been talking about recently. And it's just kind of been, it's out there, it's everywhere, Artificial intelligence is taking over everything. Machines have now kind of like eclipse the point, to where they need human assistance. They fly better, they operate better, they fight better, they seem to do everything better than what actual humans do. And when they are involved with humans, especially within warfare, it's to upgrade humans and their abilities. So we have the new video angle of the DC plane crash with the Black Hawk helicopter. The next CCTV video was recorded yesterday from Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport and shows a devastating moment when the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter collided with American Eagle Flight 5342 midair, causing a fiery explosion and debris to scatter into the Potomac River below.
In this video, the Black Hawk can be seen flying at speed over the Potomac from the left side of the screen. The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river. In the second video, you can see the Army helicopter and American Airlines plane travel toward each other. After the collision and
Oh.
subsequent explosion, the airliner can be seen spinning into the water, and the Black Hawk is also seen falling into the water. In this video, the Black Hawk can be seen flying at speed over the Potomac from the left side of the screen. The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river. In the second video, you can see the Army helicopter and American Airlines plane travel toward each other. After the collision and subsequent explosion, the airliner can be seen spinning into the water, and the Black Hawk is also seen falling into the water.
Man, I don't know what to make of that. It says this is the flight path of the Black Hawk helicopter plane attack in D.C. See here, the flight path they're showing you here from Google Earth, the Army helicopter flight path. The last transmission was 8:47 p.m. Flight path 8:48. The plane, and you can see where they actually hit here. When we see these events, anytime I see anything like this, the first thing I always, ask, and it says, what a fishy flight. According to this video, the Black Hawk climbed above permitted altitude 30 seconds before impact. Cut and dry. Aviation expert breaks down the cause of the deadly DC plane crash. Right. So they're saying it's pretty fishy. And like I said, or like I was about to say, anytime you see events like this, one of the things that really comes to mind, or one of the questions that I start to ask at least, is one, who are the players that are involved, right? And whenever we see the military involved, we obviously know that they don't make mistakes like this normally. And two, what would be the agenda, right, that this would serve? Thinking problem, reaction, solution based, like what would actually come of this, as a result of this event taking place. And then finally, I tend to look for things that are suspicious or that stick out, whether it be they were running exercises that day, or, shit like this, where they were not flying at the permitted altitude, and things of that nature. And we see in the video just a moment ago, they have the ability to fly these fucking things autonomously, from 300 miles away. So this thing, very clearly was, or not very clearly, but what it would, one would think is, is that it's actually, remote controlled, and maybe this was intentional.
Let's get some analysis. I'm joined by Sky News aviation expert, Captain Byron Bailey. Byron, you've been looking at the flight path of the helicopter. Tell us what you've found in regards to the altitude of the helicopter.
Okay, there's a frequent helicopter traffic from the north to pass through that whole.
Hey, and we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to hit some of these comments real fast, because these are some really good ones. Before we dive into this video, let's pull up the chat here. You guys got some really good comments. I've seen them on my phone. So first off, Gondola Wish says that they want your traffic control to be controlled via artificial intelligence, right? And I think that we already see artificial intelligence is divvying out, prescriptions. Like I said, I can see AI eventually, issuing citations, enforcing laws, doing a lot of things. But right, they want autonomous vehicles on the road, and they want things controlled via AI. It's already controlling the nuclear missiles and all of that, right? The stockpile of the nuclear arsenal for the United States, everything. So to really say that it being navigated by AI, that's not far-fetched at all. And then two, I see Kimberly F says, Alex Jones is saying that a backdoor remote tech was used to remotely control the helicopter on Twitter. And I think that goes right in line with what we showed in the first video of that Black Hawk helicopter from Lockheed Martin actually being remote controlled from 300 fucking miles away. So we know it's very possible, right? And they haven't released any names of the helicopter pilot. And Yeah, so there you go, probably remote, right?
Area past the airfield to a military base in south, and they fly a route along the river below 200 feet. The maximum permitted altitude is 200 feet, and it's a visual flight at night. We watched the readouts from the radar, and about 30 seconds before the impact, they were actually at 200 feet, and then shortly after, the chopper was at 300 feet. By chopper, I mean helicopter. And just before the collision, where the airliner is turning, he's on short final at 400 feet, about a mile or so from the runway, and the pilots would have been just concentrating on the landing straight ahead and wouldn't have even been aware of the chopper. The chopper actually rose to 350 feet, and that was the last indication before the collision. The helicopter at 350 feet, and he shouldn't have been there. He should have been at 200, and the airliner at 400 feet. So they won't need the black boxes to work this one out. This is cut and dried, really. The military guy shouldn't have been that high.
So speculation as to why he was above that permitted altitude. Should that have been picked up by the air traffic control, Byron?
Yeah, but the air traffic controller was so under pressure from working different frequencies that, he may not have realised in time that the helicopter was actually climbing above his mandated maximum altitude. It's a close-run thing. I can't really blame the air traffic controller because he's handling so many airplanes and different frequencies, and situational awareness in a situation like that is very difficult.
And there you go. He said, I can't blame the air traffic controller. So, they're going to like blame this kind of on, oh, well, we can't blame the air traffic controller, but yeah, it's kind of human error because, I mean, look at all the different situational awareness he needed to have and all the different planes taking off and all of this, right? So, yeah, to your comment, Gondola, I think was the name, sounds kind of spot on, right? So this is basically the place where they would be like, okay, well, now it's time to insert artificial intelligence and allow them to essentially control the in and out flux of all of our flights. And and that's pretty crazy, especially over DC, the nation's capital, right? Because let's just kind of think like where that could actually go once you give control of air traffic over the nation's capital to AI, right? And to some type of system that can obviously be compromised, right? And hacked. And it has security vulnerabilities, just like the Blackhawks and all of this. They have vulnerabilities as well. Anything that can be controlled remotely, absolutely, Kimberly, does have a back door, right? So who's to say that CIA or insert any entity here that is deemed to gain off of this scenario in this situation, wouldn't compromise the integrity of that Blackhawk and control it remotely because it went above its maximum altitude as the plane was descending. It shouldn't even happened, right? And then it's being blamed on essentially, human error to implement the agenda of AI being able to control the traffic and everything kind of shifting into the, autonomous realm, whether it's planes. And we're going to see this more and more. This is just, this is what they do. They're doing with vehicles on the road and everything. They don't want humans to have the ability to have free movement, period. Right. And, like I said, this also allows them to remotely do things and basically, they can blame it on China. They can blame it on Russia, anybody, cyber attack. And, so to compromise our grids and our systems and all of that.
Cool. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I flew into Paris.
You're an experienced you're an experienced pilot yourself. Is there anything that the commercial jet captain could have done to avoid this collision?
Well, no, because he wouldn't have been aware of the helicopter coming in on his right side. He, at 400 feet on final, you're in the final stages of touchdown. You're on a stable approach. You're concentrating on your speed, your glide path on center line, being spooled up with gear and flap and everything done. So you'd be just looking ahead at the runway, and you're not looking out to the right, to the side, especially since they hadn't been advised of the presence of the helicopters. Situational awareness in this situation, I mean, I flew into Paris at night, and all the airline traffic, French airline traffic, was talking in French to the controller, and I was the only one talking English, and I was totally, utterly situationally unaware of what was going on with the other aircraft around me. And this was that kind of situation, I guess.
And you can see, man, just the language that the Captain Byron Bailey continues to use. And we know that Sky News is a shithole of a news network. Anyways, he keeps talking about situational awareness and how, he was in a situation where he didn't have situational awareness. And obviously they didn't have visibility or situational awareness. And it's like, it's very obvious they're trying to put this on human error. So I think we have kind of like found, where this is. And here's another crewless Black Hawk helicopter flying at 115 miles per hour. Test rescue mission. So you can see autonomous Black Hawk helicopter flies without a pilot. So just to kind of show you, this is legit. Right. And and that is another thing. Whenever you would see AI being implemented to, for air traffic control and things like that, there would be a necessity of uh intensified surveillance or more access to satellites, because AI would essentially be able to use any eye in the sky or on the ground, and utilize everything as an open channel to be able to navigate and manipulate, traffic that way. So I do see like how this could really be used, as part of surveillance and control. And it's like, and it always appears to be that. It says, yep, the tech is there, guys. Could the helicopter's matrix system be hacked remotely and forced to fly despite the pilot's input? Because that opens up a lot of interesting scenarios. Like, was the plane helicopter crash in DC an autopilot attack by the helicopter? This is just a theory, of course, but it seems that in the current crazy times, the conspiracy theorists keep winning. And speaking of this, now let me see if I can pull this up too. There was also another plane crash here. Where's it at? Right here. Yep. Right here. Plane crashes into Philadelphia neighborhood. Multiple homes on fire. The crash comes after a commercial passenger jet crashed in Washington, D.C. earlier this week. And I've got the video of this too. A plane crashed into a neighborhood in Philadelphia on Friday night, leaving multiple homes on fire. ABC 6 Action News reported that the plane was a small plane, although no specifics were given about the number of people on board or the type of aircraft. The crash happened in an area in the northeastern part of the city just shortly after 6 p.m. The report said that the plane appeared to hit several buildings and cars in the area, and that multiple casualties have been reported. So I'm going to show you this one right here. And it says the Federal Aviation video shows wrecked vehicles, fiery debris littered everywhere. The Federal Aviation Administration and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy posted on X shortly after the news of the crash broke, providing details. A Learjet 55 crashed around 6:30 p.m. after departing from Northeast Philadelphia Airport. There were reportedly 6 people on board. The plane was en route to Springfield Branson National Airport in Missouri. Those killed included 2 doctors, 1 patient, 1 family member, and 2 pilots. Shortly after the crash, videos came in from social media showing the moment of impact and the aftermath. The vantage point from the ground near the Raising Cane's on Cotman and Bradford at the moment of the plane crash. And here, I will show you the video I have of this. So, right here.
Can I get? Yeah, just go the long way, bro. Just go the long way. All right, brother. All right. Just stay on the other side of this tape line right here, okay? All right, appreciate it.
This is Cotman Avenue. This is after the fact here.
A plane has crashed right off the boulevard at Cotman Avenue.
You can see
It's
the
on
fire.
It's not under control. It looks like a side street. All police and fire. It looks like debris here. I'm in a debris field. They're opening up the parking lot. There is thick smoke and the smell of jet fuel.
Can I be honest?
I'm working, I'm sorry, with Fox. I need to get I should have worn a jacket. Sorry, brother.
Just go down around.
I will.
Is this just like a little bit of a
There's
coincidence?
pieces of the plane here.
Right?
We're near Northeast Philly Airport. There are lines of police and fire as far as I can see.
Learjet
Black
crashes
smoke filling the
in
sky
Philly.
over the shopping plaza.
Black Hawk crashes into a plane in DC.
It looks like it's on a side street.
I'm not one to
Effective.
believe in coincidence.
We're right
you know?
across from a busy shopping center.
You know,
So,
and it's just like
Plane, pieces of the plane are in the Roosevelt Mall parking lot. It looks like, according to police, that's why they're roping that off.
such a dramatic fucking video here.
This is as close. There's black smoke. Sorry, I'm breathing bad. Flames of black smoke coming over.
Yeah, so like I said, you have a Learjet hitting buildings and fucking cars and shit in Philly, right? And then you have a Black Hawk, which does have remote flying capability that is above its highest permitted altitude, crashing into a plane taking off in DC. And then, of course, the mainstream media is putting the spin on this of pilots not being able to have situational awareness and shit like that. And it's like, is there an agenda at play here where, you know, they really are trying to give some sort of, you know, control to artificial intelligence to have the ability to control the nation's, air traffic control as well, and, you know, and even maybe fly the fucking planes, who knows, you know. We see everything kind of pushing towards autonomy now, and it's like, wow, you know, once I see something like this and I see another event very similar, it's like, that's, you know, to me, I don't believe in coincidence. I feel like there's, you know, something, you know, definitely going on here. And every time that we see this kind of shit, like I said, there's always some sort of fucking agenda involved. Yeah, remote controlled helicopters is damn scarier than drones to me. Right, exactly. Black Hawk Down came out around this time a year ago. How interesting is that? Reminds you of the movie Leave the World Behind. That's Cartman's cousin talking. Some people said they were doing some weird Super Bowl thing because the DC place came from Kansas, and now we have a Philadelphia event. How about that? That is interesting. You know, that is interesting. And I wouldn't put it past the whole Super Bowl shit. You know what I mean? Honestly, they do rituals for that every single year. So, but I mean, I guess we still got to see, right, on what it actually is here. So, here we go. BlackRock and JP Morgan gets $500 billion deal to rebuild Ukraine. Ah, man. They will set up and control a reconstruction bank for Ukraine. Same old playbook, incident, war, rebuild, central bank, and repeat. And isn't that the fucking truth, y'all? You know, isn't that the truth? And you can see here's an article at LockheedMartin.com. DARPA taps Sikorsky to add autonomy to U.S. Army owned Black Hawk helicopters. So, I mean, you know, DARPA is involved, right? DOD is involved, right? So just saying, you know, just saying. And okay, we've got some pretty interesting stuff here. Kash Patel wants to go after Epstein conspirators. Kash Patel vows to pursue those who worked with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Wait. Well, what the fuck are we waiting on? They still need to write the script. Right. And isn't that the truth? You know, people are making these, you know, he's saying he wants to go after the Epstein people. We know fucking better than that. That's never going to happen in a million billion years. Too many people would be exposed from that. The only way we would ever see anything pertaining to the Epstein list and all of that is if it actually served Trump and his regime by getting rid of political adversaries. And even so, I think he's guilty. I think all the people in his regime are guilty as well. So we're not going to see anything like that happening. Two fires break out in NC County, devastated by Hurricane Helene. North Fork Fire in McDowell County grows to 200 acres. Crooked Creek Fire is 100% contained. And this is another thing, too. These fires and shit like that and these hurricanes that have been happening in North Carolina and all of this, they're building FEMA camps and shit like that now over in this area. This is like whenever they, you know, weather modification is real. You know, whether people believe that or not, geoengineering is real, whether people believe that or not. And I feel like a lot of times whenever they do these kind of things, whether they're using directed energy weapons to start fires like on the West Coast, or we're seeing, you know, fucking hurricane, you know, machines or whatever the fuck you want to call them for the East Coast and the Atlantic, you know, we then see there is an effort to Federal Emergency Management Agency is then involved, right? And every time they're involved, they get to build a new camp and facility, and you know they get to set up shop in all of these different areas. And I feel like, you know, if there is, and a lot of people are believing that we could perhaps be on the brink of an economic collapse, and maybe that this economic collapse is something that's been coming, and that even perhaps that this will be an intentional collapse, and that these type of events, right, like these fires, like these hurricanes that have allowed FEMA to enter in on both coasts, right, of the United States, that this is allowing them to kind of get ahead of the game for whenever they, you know, the collapse actually begins and they need federal detention centers for those that they deem a threat. So, extended smoke impacts smoke sensitive populations, including children, older adults, and those with respiratory conditions. And here we go. After years of denying that they had anything related to Seth Rich, the FBI and the DOJ were caught lying over and over again. But the FBI is still stalling and refuses to turn over the Seth Rich records. They're even asking for 66 more years. Isn't it interesting? That's a number they choose, almost like with the vaccines. Okay, so here is the Seth Rich right here. Let's pull this up. FBI still stalling, refuses to turn over the Seth Rich records. The information could take down Democrat Party for a generation. I believe it's more than just the fucking Democrat Party, but you guys remember the Seth Rich shit years ago? I mean, and how big that was? You know, it was fucking huge. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. The FBI is stalling again. The world's top intelligence agency is still refusing to turn over the Seth Rich records to attorney Ty Clevenger. Attorney Ty Clevenger is the bulldog attorney who has been working for years to get to the bottom of the Seth Rich murder. His request continues to be denied by the FBI. Kash Patel cannot be sworn in as FBI director soon enough. Clevenger, and that's who said he wants to go after the Epstein files, right? Is Kash Patel, as he's going to be the FBI director. Clevenger previously investigated who supplied the DNC and Podesta emails to WikiLeaks during the 2016 election cycle. So isn't that interesting, right? So Clevenger was actually part of the investigation for the DNC email leaks, the Podesta emails. You guys remember that? I was actually just looking at, because I think it was probably because I seen the Seth Rich story, maybe. But I was actually looking at WikiLeaks and the Podesta files and all that shit earlier today. I even thought about like redoing something on that and like bringing it up. I mean, because it's been so fucking long. It would just be really nice to kind of like have a refresher and revisit all of that stuff and just kind of like look back on it now, and see what appeared to be true, what appeared not to be, and what was kind of backed up by fact and what wasn't, so maybe we'll do that soon. This was always the key to the Trump-Russia collusion nonsense. No proof was ever offered up by the fake news legacy media. And you guys remember the Russiagate shit and all of that back in 2016. Democrats or the intelligence community involving this scandal. If Russia did not supply the DNC emails to WikiLeaks, then this was more proof that the DOJ's Russia collusion story was a complete lie used to fool the American people. And speaking of lies used to fool the American people, I would love to know what some of you guys actually think pertaining to the WikiLeaks. What do you guys believe that agenda actually was, and do you believe that there was any legitimacy to a lot of what we see now? We know there was. Those were actually Hillary Clinton's emails, or those were actually John Podesta's emails, right? And looking at FBI and CIA and child trafficking and pedophilia symbolism and code words, they were most definitely using words that were synonymous with those type of things, right? That type of language, right? And Julian Assange, right, is most definitely paid his ass for it, right? For leaking all of this shit out, right? And he was in the Ecuadorian embassy for what, fucking 7 years or some shit. He was some years, right, before the UK came and got his ass and given him over to the US. I mean, so we've seen that there's been, and then keep in mind Seth Rich, and his mysterious death, all the different repercussions that took place from that, and then that whole. But what makes me wonder. And they can say that it was Russian collusion, and that the Russians actually released that. And that could be true. Maybe the Russians are the one who gave it to WikiLeaks. Who fucking knows, right? And it was, but at first, for some reason, I just don't, and maybe it was politically motivated because they wanted Donald Trump to be president, and that's what they try to say with the whole Russiagate thing. But honestly, there's no telling where it came from. It does appear to be politically motivated. It could have come from Trump, and his people in the military, What year did all this get out? I'll have to Google that. Hold on. Let's see. What year? Pizzagate took place. Let's pull it up. Pizzagate 2004 Pizzagate is a conspiracy theory that went viral during the 2016 United States presidential election cycle, falsely claiming that the New York City Police Department had discovered a pedophilia ring linked to members of the Democrat Party. While searching through Anthony Weiner's emails, it has been extensively discredited by a wide range of organizations, including the Washington, D.C. Police. In March 2016, the personal email account of John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chair, was hacked in a spear phishing attack. WikiLeaks published his emails in November 2016. Proponents of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory falsely claimed the emails contained coded messages that connected several high-ranking Democrat Party officials and U.S. restaurants with an alleged human trafficking and child sex ring. One of the establishments allegedly involved was the Comet Ping Pong Pizzeria in Washington, D.C., which, if you guys will remember, just a video, I don't know if it was last video or the video before that, the guy that actually came in to shoot up Comet Ping Pong Pizza just got killed by the police. So isn't it weird that the Seth Rich shit is popping back up into the news? And now the guy from Comet Ping Pong, the shooter or whatever, he's dead now. He got killed by police during a routine traffic stop just a couple days ago. Members of the alt-right conservative journalist and others who had urged Clinton's prosecution over her use of an unrelated private email server spread the conspiracy theory on social media outlets such as 4chan, 8chan, Reddit, and Twitter. In response, a man from North Carolina, and this is the guy I'm talking about, traveled to Comet Ping Pong to investigate the conspiracy and fired a rifle inside the restaurant to break the lock on a door to a storage room during his search. In addition, the restaurant's owner and staff received death threats from conspiracy theorists. Pizzagate is generally considered with a predecessor to the QAnon conspiracy theory. It also generated another offshoot conspiracy theory called Frazzle Drip, which involved Hillary Clinton participating in the ritual murder of a child. Pizzagate resurged in 2020, mainly due to QAnon. While initially it was spread by only the far right, it has since been spread by teens on TikTok who don't otherwise fit a right-wing conspiracy theorist mold. The biggest Pizzagate spreaders on TikTok appear to otherwise be mostly interested in topics of viral dance moves and Black Lives Matter. The conspiracy theory has developed and become less partisan and political in nature, with less emphasis on Clinton and more on an alleged worldwide elite of child sex traffickers. And the genesis is on October 30th, 2016, the Twitter account posting the white supremacist material, which said it was run by a Jewish New York lawyer, falsely claimed that the New York City Police Department had discovered a pedophilia ring linked to members of the Democrat Party. While searching through Anthony Weiner's emails through November 2016, WikiLeaks published John Podesta's emails. Proponents of the conspiracy read the emails and alleged they contained code words for pedophilia and human trafficking. Proponents also claim Comet Ping Pong, the pizzeria in D.C., was a meeting ground for satanic ritual abuse, deriving its name from the Watergate scandal. The story was later posted on fake news websites, starting with Your Newswire, which cited a 4chan post from earlier in the year. The Yours Newswire article was subsequently spread by pro-Trump websites, including subjectpolitics.com, which added the claim that the NYPD had raided Hillary Clinton's property. The conservative Daily Post ran a headline claiming the Federal Bureau of Investigation had confirmed the conspiracy theory. Yeah, so you guys see, right? That's basically, what all of that was, and it took place in 2016. James Alefantis, and I got a video from Comet Ping Pong Pizza still, I believe. So let me see if I can pull it up and just kind of give you the refresher here. Just one moment. Let's see if we can find this video. Just kind of show you the Comet Ping Pong Pizza here. 1 second, guys. I got it. Just give me one moment. And I'll show you. You can see it. There was some weird fucking shit going on there. I don't give a fuck who you are. You know what I mean? Like, there really was. There was some really weird shit going on. So people can say what they want to say, but there really was, dude. I ain't never went into a pizza place and seen no shit like that taking place, guys. So. And it's hotter than fucking here. See if we can find this. Where is this at, guys? Okay. Gotta do it by date. Maybe I deleted it already. Hopefully I didn't, but I might have. Let's see what this is. No, this ain't it. Oh, fuck. It was in the video we did. Yeah. Not sure what happened with that. It was in the video we did the other. We did a video and we showed the actual, inside comic ping pong pizza when we were talking about the guy that got shot in North Carolina that actually did that. So, but we showed the video and it's a man dressed in drag and he's talking about little boy shit. So, I mean, it's fucking weird shit, man. Weird shit, as always. But yeah. So back to the Seth Rich, kind of got sideways. Clevenger previously investigated who supplied the DNC and Podesta emails to WikiLeaks during the 2016 election cycle. This was always the key to the Trump-Russia collusion nonsense. No proof was ever offered up by fake news legacy media, Democrats, or the intelligence community involving this scandal. If Russia did not supply the DNC emails to WikiLeaks, then this was more proof that the DOJ's Russian collusion story was a complete lie used to fool the American public. Seth Rich was a DNC operative who was mysteriously murdered in the summer of 2016, weeks before WikiLeaks released their Clinton email investigation. The murder is still unsolved. After years of denying they had anything related to Seth Rich, the FBI and the Department of Justice were caught lying over and over again. In September 2023, a judge finally demanded the FBI and the DOJ provide all they had regarding Seth Rich to attorney Clevenger. The FBI responded, requesting another 66 years before releasing the information. They wanted it to move out like the JFK assassination reports, which is fucking nuts. Then in late November 2023, a federal judge ruled the FBI must hand over evidence regarding former DNC employee Seth Rich's murder to Ty Clevenger, which I believe he's the one who probably was involved in this. So no media outlet has covered the Seth Rich story as extensively as the Gateway Pundit. But since November 2023 court order, the FBI has completely dug in the cover-up of the Seth Rich murder. Chris Wray's FBI continues to defy the court and will not release the laptop computer. On Thursday, attorney Ty Clevenger released a string of tweets on the latest in the Seth Rich investigation. Let's see the tweets here. It says, after years of litigation and stonewalling by the FBI, a federal judge ordered the feds to produce Seth Rich records by February 7th. Today, the FBI told me it wants more time. Maybe Kash Patel and Donald Trump need to hear about this. On August 16th, 2024, Judge Amos Mazant ordered the FBI to process and produce records from Seth's electronic devices no later than February 7th, 2025. A few weeks later, in order to expedite things before the election. We propose that the FBI just produce metadata and file names. That should have been enough to determine whether Seth was the source of the DNC emails published by WikiLeaks in 2016, which he obviously was. That's why they're hiding it so much. The FBI did not respond. And he was smoked right before it was released. I followed up again in October. The FBI did not respond. When the FBI first suggested last week that it might need more time, I asked again if it could just produce file names and metadata. The FBI did not respond. Today, it just asked for another 30 days, but it did not address file names and metadata. And finally, in fairness, the FBI is only asking for another 30 days, but I've been doing this for almost 8 years. I know what happens next. The FBI creates another delay. Enough is enough. It's time for Kash Patel to be confirmed so he can light a fire under these people. Could it be that the Seth Rich computer confirms that he leaked the Hillary Clinton emails to WikiLeaks as its founder, Julian Assange, implied? The American people deserve to know the truth about this horrific murder and political scandal. The U.S. Senate must confirm Kash Patel as the next FBI director, and Kash must expose the facts of this scandal once and for all. Could it be that the FBI blamed Russia for leaking the emails when they knew that that was not the truth? There was no computer hack. The emails were leaked. And could this explain Seth Rich's mysterious death? Yeah. And that's what I mean. The implications of this are fucking major. They are major. If you truly think about it. If it comes out that Seth Rich, and we all know, do you know? I'm pretty fucking certain that Seth Rich is probably the one who leaked this shit, right? And we've even seen Assange kind of insinuate to and allude to that idea as well. The guy gets killed right before the release. We already know about the Hillary Clinton body count, right? That bitch. Anybody who's ever screwed over the Clintons, their head is decapitated and all of their teeth have been pulled. I mean, they don't play. They are cold blooded, right? And think about what all this is snowballed into so much shit, Pizzagate did, it really did. Wow, interesting. I'll address that in just a moment. But so I mean, and if Seth Rich and the FBI did know, think about the director of the FBI back then, James Comey, right? And all the bullshit that happened with him, the whole Russian collusion delusion, all of it, man. The shit would hit the fan if this comes out that Seth Rich leaked those emails and was killed. And even if, let's just say hypothetically, it was the FBI that actually killed him, right? Or this, somebody like that actually killed him. And they knew the whole time that Russia didn't do it. And they went ahead, Comey and all that, they went ahead and pushed that fucking, bullshit narrative, right? I appreciate that, bro. I made you a moderator too. I seen you asking. Yeah, I appreciate that big time. I appreciate everybody for donating, supporting. And I seen somebody here say, where's it at? Gondola Wish. You've been making some cool comments tonight too, by the way. A lot of people are saying that what happened in Philadelphia this evening was in fact not a plane and was in fact a missile. Now, think about that, dude. What the fuck? If that's actually true, right? If it wasn't a plane and it was a missile, ooh boy, right? Who shot the missile, right? Where'd the missile come from? You guys seen the footage of that? And maybe I can find, is there any footage it looked like a missile? Well, I showed you guys a video of what I had of it. Let's see if is there any video of this fucking thing in the air? That's what we need to see. Is there any video of the plane in the air? Let's look at it. That's what we need to see, guys. Here we go. Are we going to see? This is the moment the plane crashes. This is doorbell video, moment of impact. I want to see the thing in the air. That's what I want to see. Let's take a look at a couple of these videos and see what we find. See, wow. Tell me that does look like a fucking bomb right there. Wow. That really does. Raw videos of the plane crash. See, this is just the, oh, okay. We're going to take a look at a couple of these because I see some very suspect shit. I'm already. So let's take a look. This is the moment of impact. Plane crash called on multiple videos in Northeast Philly.
Andy, we know the FAA just put a ground stop there. Bring us up to speed on what you're learning.
Yeah, Gray, that ground stop now in effect specifically because of what happened, because of that plane.
All right, so looks like it starts in just about 3 seconds here. So here we go.
There's a couple different types. You can actually see the plane when it took off and how short of a time that it was actually in the air. It looks like it maybe was only in the air for about 6 minutes. And, you know, when you're in the air, Cottman and the Boulevard is not too far away from where the Northeast Airport is.
There it is. There it is.
At this point,
right there, guys.
I can tell you too, and some people we're talking to
where
here,
my cursor's at,
is that the conditions for flying seem foggy.
Wow.
And rainy, even just before 6 p.m. It appears
right there.
This flight took off around 6.
Yeah, I don't know, guys, I don't know about that. Just from this particular angle, I don't know about that. That didn't look like a fucking plane to me. The thing was already on fire in the
from
air.
Northeast Airport. I can tell you that Philadelphia police
and then look at this
here.
mushroom cloud.
Detectives right now
here,
are
guys.
in the tower talking to air traffic controllers
right there. Look,
up
bam.
there.
Look at this. This is supposed to be the plane. You see it like come out of the sky right about here, and it's lit on fire the whole time. I do not see any. I mean, and I'm not saying that, you know, it is or it isn't or whatever. I'm just saying, Jesus, man, that does not look like. Thank you, babe. I appreciate that. But it does not look as if that is even a plane, just to keep it all the way real. Doesn't look like that's even a plane. Like if we're being honest with that, guys. We're seeing this thing. It's already a blaze. We'll take another look at some other shit.
Those details, and there is a small police presence here. Of course, a number of the
Here's another
private,
angle.
Airlines that
you can see the explosion. It looks like a fucking mushroom cloud.
Airports here that take off right now. They have people that were waiting for flights that have gone home because of the ground stop as well. So at this point, it is quiet at Northeast Airport, eerily quiet. But again, we're still learning more about that information. When you talk about those medic jets, they could be for a variety of reasons. It could be because they're transporting something important, such as organs, if somebody needs a transplant, or it could be to actually transport a patient and taking that patient to get medical care that maybe they couldn't get in this area. And like you said, it appears that this plane was headed for Springfield, Missouri. Again, the nuts and bolts that we're getting at this point is that the flight took off at 6:06 here from Northeast Airport. It looks like it was only in the air for a matter of minutes before crashing around Cottman and the Boulevard, which of course
let's check out some of these other videos. This isn't very good.
Images.
So I'm just saying this wasn't a very good one. And thank you for the donation, Eric. I appreciate that. This is a plane crash from the door right here. This is somebody's. Holy Nikes. Look at that. Does anybody? I can't see the fucking thing in the air. That's the problem here. Look. Oh, okay. That's a plane. That is a plane. I seen it right there. Did you guys see that? Okay, here I'm gonna take this back a sec. I'm gonna take this back a tick. Here we go. I want you to watch. It comes from the left screen right about here where my cursor is, and it goes down at an angle towards the right. Watch this fucking thing. Wow, you can see the shape of the plane and everything as it actually goes down this time. It's nosedive straight to the ground. Right here. Look. Right here. Bam. Take it back. Take it back here. All right. Here we go. Now, I want you to watch from left to right. Here we go. Right here. See? You guys can see this on the screen? That is. I would love to see somebody be able to actually, and I could do it, just not while I'm on a live stream, obviously. But, I mean, I actually could, but you guys wouldn't want to see all that. Somebody actually cleaned that image up. But I don't think we need to. I think that's evident that that's a plane. You can see the tail back here. You can see the nose, and there are the wings. It's just moving at such a fast pace, man. I mean, whew. I mean, to me, that does look like a plane. I don't know what you guys think or not. If that looks like a plane. Woo! God. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I was saying thank you, babe, to you. And thank you to Eric for his donation. Those were two separate. I didn't call you babe, Eric. That's funny. Even though I appreciate you, bro. Okay, one more, and then we'll move on from this. Yeah, wow.
She's still hanging.
Boom. Damn, son. Look at that. Whew. That's the best angle right there. Where that wow. What is that? It reminds me of like one of those fucking apocalyptic movies. You know what I mean? It really does. It's like one of those apocalyptic movies where like planes are falling out of the sky and shit.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, anybody have any thoughts? I mean, that was a still. I mean, I could call you that if I want. It was full of fuel. Yes, it was. Did it hit a mall? I'm not sure what it hit. Bailey said, if it's a missile, we have a missing plane. Right. If it's a plane, we have a downed one. Either way, I think the important question is who is on these planes. Yeah, I think you're right, Bailey, honestly. And Bailey's a pretty smart cookie, so I'm going to go with that. Someone in the chat recommended the TV show Revolution to you a few days ago. In the pilot of that series, a plane falls out of the sky. Interesting. You're just crushing it today, Gondola-ish. With cool comments. And did it hit a mall? I don't know. They said it hit buildings and cars. So I'm not sure. If it just took off from that airport, how is it nosediving? I know, right? Like they said, the thing something had to have happened. I mean, honestly, does anybody know? It's so funny that comment. Does anybody know? What the story on what they're saying? Like what are they saying? Fucking happened with this shit? Like why did they, why did they nosedive like that? That is a very good question. If they just took off, why they were going like even though it did appear to be a plane, and that's a huge area of debris. Well, I mean, Claudette, the reason I think it's a huge area of debris is because that thing hit like a nuke, dude. That thing hit hard. And if you looked at that debris, there was hardly anything. I mean, it was pieces. So, like the video I had, you can see the pieces just everywhere. Here, I'll show you. Just going to show you right here.
Fuck.
Can I get? Yeah, just go the long way, bro. Just go the long way.
All right, brother. All right.
Just stay on the other side of this tape line right here,
I will.
okay? I appreciate it.
Now watch.
A plane has crashed right off the boulevard at Cottman Avenue. It's on fire. It's not under control.
There's the debris in this parking
It looks
lot.
like a side street. All police and fire.
Here we go. I'm going to pause it right here.
It looks
so you
like
guys can
debris
go.
here. I'm in a debris field.
I'm in a debris field. This guy's a dipshit. But you see, I mean, it's kind of a shitty little image, but there we go. See, the debris is not that fucking big, man.
We're near Northeast Philly Airport.
Not that big. That's what she said too. But I'm just saying, though, yeah, it hit like a fucking bomb, right? It fell from the sky faster than Kamala's chances on election night. Right. She didn't have a snowball's chance in hell. I wonder if anything stands out where it hit on Google Maps. That'll get removed tomorrow. That's a really good question right there too. I mean, we know that Google Maps has people in LA saying that they're being trafficked on top of roofs and shit saying help. I showed that the other day. So, I mean, it would be interesting. To see what Google Maps has actually got up there. So, have you heard about the connection between the murder of a CBP agent, a couple in PA, and an 80-year-old man in Vallejo, California, the Z's cult? Authorities are investigating the connection between murders across the country to the Zlins, a cult of highly educated trans vegan rationalists. What? This is not real, dude. Give me a fucking break. Is this real? Is this a joke? Is this real? Does this seem like a psyop to you? I mean, just like from the surface. So, okay. Like, you guys know how Proud Boys and shit like that have, federal agents basically that run them and are a part of them, right? Very much psychological warfare to demonize right-wing groups as white supremacists, right? Well, now that we have the new regime in town, right? And remember, he stated that there are officially only two genders. He has also put an end to hormone blockers and surgery for trans children and all that as well, right? So he's launched an attack basically against the trans community, okay? Whether you like it, you don't like it, no matter what your belief is, that is the truth. He's launching an assault on the trans community, right? And no matter how you feel about that, that's what's happening. And then now we have the Z's cult, which is authorities investigating the connection between murders across the country to Zlins, a cult of highly educated trans vegan rationalists, right? So now we have a cult of trans people that are going to be, so let's see here. The transgender leader of the group, don't this seem like some Proud Boy shit and all that? Oath Keepers and Proud Boy shit, don't it? Does it or not? I'm just saying. I would like to know what the chat thinks about this, honestly. I haven't heard anything about this story. Right. I would like to know your opinion on this. Do you think this sounds like a psyop? Because don't this sound very similar to what we see with the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and shit like that? Right, when they were. Is my PayPal the same from a year ago? Yeah. Here, I'll give you. Yes, it's here. I'll drop it in the chat. PayPal.me/the best damn podcast. There you go. It's paypal.me/the best damn podcast. Yeah. Well, I mean, fucking think about that too. Like what they're doing, going after the trans community now. And I'm not saying, and it sucks because it sucks that this happens, that things are politically motivated. The way that they are. So the transgender leader of the group, who has posted about transhumanism and other topics, some followers say Lesota is dead. It always seems weird to me when people start promoting shit that happened 2 years ago. Right. Fuck yes. I'm glad somebody sees it, man. I'm glad somebody sees it. I don't give a fuck. So here's my thing on this. I don't give a fuck what people's beliefs and ideologies and orientations and all that shit is. It's not my business, for one. I've always said I'm a firm proponent in protecting our children from any sexualization whatsoever, trans or otherwise. But, just like we've seen the whole white supremacy thing and all of that shit targeting, and the emergence of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and this fucking targeting against alt-right conspiracy theorists and all this shit. Yeah, I know. I've got gay and trans, lots of gay and trans people that actually watch my channel. So this is a channel that we accept everybody. So it's like, I love everyone. And everyone has the right to be who they are, period. And if you identify as a woman or a man, I'd call you a woman or a man because out of respect, for a person. And it's not for me to judge. Like I said, we should never be sexualizing children, period, though. We should never be sexualizing children, period, even with, heterosexual shit. Like children should never be sexualized at all. And that's where, and we shouldn't be destroying them, but with hormone blockers and surgery that they can't come back from either. That's another thing, so that's one thing where I actually, I do draw the line on that as well. It's like, nope, that's not cool. That's not cool. And thank you for the donation. Paolo? Is that you, Paolo? I did that. Thank you very much, bro. I appreciate that. Paul Whitting. Can I say your name? No, we'll just say Paolo because that's what your name is on there. Sorry. I didn't mean to say anything like that. Sorry about that, man. I didn't mean to put your name out there. Please forgive me. So the transgender leader of the group who posted about transhumanism and other topics, some followers say Lesota is dead, but that seems to be a plot to avoid authorities. Lesota also used the name Andrea Phelps. And I think Bailey's right. When something's coming from fucking 2 years ago, then that's when you really need to start questioning shit because let's be honest, when they're doing something from a couple of years ago, why wasn't it a big deal 2 years ago? Why is it a big deal now? Because there's an agenda and there's a motive now, right? Somebody is going to be served by this with it being politically motivated, right? Then we have Amir Emma Borhanian and Alexander Somni Letham, two transgender Zizians who are, and notice they're transhuman too. So they're trans, although it's trans everything, right? Transgender Zizians who are accused of attacking Curtis Lind in Solano County, California, because they were squatting on his property. Who lost an eye in the attack, shot and killed Borhanian. What the fuck? But was going to testify against Letham and Another accused assailant and Z's follower, Suri Dow. Yeah, Claudette says, I also draw the line when it's happening to children. Adults can do anything they want. Leave the kids alone. Fuck yeah. Right. Fuck yeah. Thank you, Paolo. Yes. Thank you for the donation. Thank you, Eric, for the donation. And the fallen angelics are orchestrating the whole thing using their human counterparts to take over. I fucking agree. I agree. Um, Then we have Michelle Jacqueline Zalco. Authorities say the gun Young Blut used in the Border Patrol attack was bought by Zakjo, the trans non-binary adult child of Rita, who were found killed in mysterious and unsolved circumstances in Delaware County, PA, in early 2023. Zakjo, whose blog shows connections to the Z's cult, is now being sought by authorities. And how about that, Bailey? You're right. This, some of this happened fucking over 2 years ago. So. What the fuck, man? Hold on. There we go. Let's see if we can move this around. There we go. Make it bigger. That's what she said. Snyder was engaged. So we have Teresa Milo, Consuelo Youngblut, Felix Ophelia, Baucholt. What are these names? What's up with these fucking names? Snyder was engaged to be married to Youngblut and Baucholt, both transgender, were stopped by Border Patrol agent David Mayland on January 20th. Youngblut allegedly shot at Mayland, who was killed. Baucholt was killed by return fire. Youngblut was arrested. And there we go. Victims number 3 and 4, Rita and Richard. So what is up with this? Do we have... All right, let's go down here and see what we got. So highly educated trans vegan rationalist. Hell is empty and all the devils are here. Yeah. So is this all we have? Is this all it has on here? That's pretty shitty. There it is. I was about to say, I know I had this article somewhere. So the trans murder cult linked to Vermont VT Border Patrol killing. The woman accused in killing of the Border Patrol agent David C. Mayland near the Canadian border in Vermont appears to be a part of a techno-rationalist cult founded by a biological male who identifies as a woman and goes by the name of Z's. The group has been linked to at least 3 other murders. Teresa Milo Consuelo Youngblut, 21, from Washington State, is being held without bail on federal charges connected to Mayland's January 20th killing. Youngblut's associate, German national Felix Ophelia Baucholt, was killed during the traffic stop that ended in gunfire. United States Magistrate Judge Kevin Doyle said Thursday the evidence against Youngblut appears strong enough to keep her in custody without bail. Assistant United States Attorney Matthew Lasher relied on his previous court filing to make the Youngblut is too dangerous to be released pending trial. According to Lasher, the connection to Z's helps make her a danger. Quote, the defendant's possession and use of a firearm combined with her itineracy and association suggests she poses a current and substantial danger to the community that could not be addressed by a condition or a combination of conditions of pretrial release. Both Youngblut and Baucholt have ties to Jack Lasota, a.k.a. Z's, a California man who espouses a violent philosophy based on veganism and techno-rationality, artificial intelligence, and transgenderism, according to filings and media reports. Okay. Please help me understand this, please. Please. Why the he has this violent philosophy based on veganism. I thought vegans didn't want to kill anything. You know what I mean? Like, Lesoto's small group of followers known in the San Francisco area as Zizians are connected to the murder of an elderly rancher and the murders of a Pennsylvania couple, parents of another Zizian. And I can't wrap my head around this. The violent philosophy based on veganism, techno-rationality, artificial intelligence, transgenderism. Reject morality. Never do the right thing because it's the right thing. Never even think that concept or ask that question unless it's to model what others will think, Lesota reportedly wrote on a now defunct blog. Lasoda reportedly faked his own death at least once and is currently being held on charges connected to the Pennsylvania murders. Like most Zizians, Lasoda identifies as a transgender woman. The teachings Z's espouses encourage followers to unlock different personas and genders within their minds using sleep deprivation techniques. The followers are also pressured into cutting off family ties. Bam, there you fucking go, right there. Does this seem that this little cult or whatever, and keep it real, y'all, this seems more akin to like what you would see like something out of the CIA or FBI, right, with the mind control and shit like that. You know, right there when I see something like, for one, they're targeting, different ideologies, transgenders, transhumanism, vegans, right? Techno rationalists, whatever the fuck that is, right? And this violent philosophy of never do the right thing. Da, 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 da. It has no, anytime you see one of these government psyops, it has no fucking, there's no rhyme or reason behind it. It's dumb shit like this, right? Never do the right thing unless you're trying to figure out why somebody else would do it. It's just stupid. And then thinking, where's it at here? Yes. And so the teachings espouses encourage followers to unlock different personas and genders within their minds using sleep deprivation techniques. So think about that. Sleep deprivation, this is used in Scientology and shit, by the way, right? You guys remember there are many ill, ugly practices when it comes to Scientology. My girlfriend actually thinks I'm a fucking a nutty motherfucker because I was like, when I first met her, I'm like looking into this Scientology document and all this and like studying it, trying to become a Scientologist. Like, no, I just study everything, all the religions, all the schools of thought and spirituality. And it's like they would lock people in fucking rooms and, sleep deprive them and shit like that because it's trauma-based mind control. They're trying to fracture the mind is what they're trying to do because they can insert, and every time there's a fracture, right, they can insert their own programming, right? And those, they disassociate the identities, right? That way they have different identities that are slightly split from the original person that serve purposes, and they can be brought on and triggered, right, through, different phrases and words, right, because they've been programmed. So, right, bringing hell. Okay, so Lasoda's teaching reportedly became violent and militant over time, with anger directed at fellow members of the Bay Area tech community who did not adhere to veganism. In a blog since taken on, and see, it makes no sense. That's how you know it's like a government op. Z's wrote of bringing hell to non-vegan rationalists and wrote that people should always escalate every conflict. Z's first gained notoriety in 2019 when Zizians protested an event put on by CFAR, the Center for Applied Rational Thinking, a popular self-help nonprofit for people in the tech industry. The Zizians alarmed attendees who called the police. On January 17th, Zizian Maximilian Snyder stabbed 82-year-old Curtis Lind to death in Vallejo, California. Lind had been a landlord for the Zizians before three of them allegedly tried to murder him in 2022. They're like, I ain't paying my fucking rent. Lind survived the 2022 attack thanks to a firearm, killing one Zizian and wounding two others. He was set to testify at the upcoming Zizian trial against the surviving attackers, Alexander Leatham and Suri Dow, when Snyder killed him. Snyder went to high school with Teresa Jungblut. The two applied for a marriage license in November in Washington State, though there's no evidence that they were married. Well, happy for them. Another Zizian, Michelle Zakjo, who identifies as non-binary, allegedly bought the guns Youngblood and Balkholt had on them when Malin stopped their car on Interstate 91 in Coventry, Vermont. Zakjo, I don't know the name. Sorry, these names are hard. Is currently wanted as a person of interest in the 2023 Pennsylvania murder of her parents, Richard and Rita. Youngblood reportedly fired her handgun at Malin during the stop, while Balcold fumbled his pistol and was killed during the brief shootout. The couple had been under federal surveillance for a week in Newport, Vermont. Yeah, there you go. Right fucking there, boys. Reportedly wore black tactical clothing and openly carried their guns when walking around town. On Thursday, U.S. Department of Homeland Security Kristi Noem made a surprise trip to the Vermont border to speak with a Border Patrol agent, though she did not make any public remarks during her visit. So there you go. Isn't it very fucking interesting, this weird ass ideology that they have, that all these oxymorons, right? It don't even go together. It's like weird shit. Vegan rationalist, fucking techno rationalist, transgender, transhuman, but at the same time, they're, never do the right thing, always escalate conflict and violent, militant, weird shit. And through sleep deprivation, they create alter egos and personalities, essentially trauma-based mind control. And lo and fucking behold, guess what? The feds were following them around a week before they pulled this shit. How about that? I'm thinking they were probably feds themselves, just to keep it all the way real. We do know the leader actually faked his death once already too. And that's a known thing that, the government does. So, I'd like to know your opinion on this. You guys, those who catch us in the flip side, and leave it in the comments. We'll move forward here. Close out some of this shit. Okay. Actual citizens should be allowed to purchase homes, not legal entities. We need to ban corporations from buying single family homes. Living wage for a family of 4, and you can see the wages. Wow. Huh. Wait till you hear about entire neighborhoods being built just to rent out. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. And you can see the wage. The lowest wages is in Virginia, 82,000 for a family of 4. Where I'm from, I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's 99,000. My girlfriend lives in Northern Kentucky, 93,000. Anybody? I'm born in Texas, 96,000. California is 188,000. Massachusetts is 200,000. Jeez, man, there's such a huge difference in some of these states as opposed to others, guys. It's wild. Huh. And I think that is true. They shouldn't allow corporations and shit like that to be able to buy properties just to keep people from being able to. And you know what? And here's the thing. They said you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, right? You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And that's the thing. Corporations buy it all up. That way they can and they buy entire fucking blocks and shit like that. In neighborhoods. That way they can control what the rent is or raise the rent, and then everybody's raised because they own everything. It's just crazy, man. And then buying entire fucking neighborhoods is just, you can only imagine what that would turn out into. And this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to put all of us into the ghettos, all of us into the ghettos. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts here. Oh, Lord. Don't say that. Right. Easy to buy shit up when you can print money endlessly. Isn't that the fucking truth? Right. But, I mean, this is how they can, it's just wild, man. It says, I know it's spelled wrong, but when I look up adrenochrome, nothing comes up. I think they were being cheeky. What is this? I don't know what the fuck this is here. Scrubs. They have adrenochrome in this. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised about that. There's so much of that, right? The predictive programming and symbolism, synchronicities. Keep your eyes open if they happen in your life.
A lot of people don't realize
brought you here.
A lot of people don't realize what's really going on. They view life as a bunch of unconnected incidents and things. They don't realize that there's this like lattice of coincidence that lays on top of everything. I'll give you an example, show you what I mean. Suppose you're thinking about a plate of shrimp. Suddenly somebody will say like plate or shrimp or plate of shrimp out of the blue, no explanation. No point in looking for one either. It's all part of a cosmic unconsciousness.
Oh, deja vu. What is it?
A deja vu is usually a glitch in the Matrix. It happens when they change something.
You could say they have nothing to do with each other. Yeah. Of course, it's quite clear. For instance, just so I speak of a red car, and at that moment, a red car comes here. You see, yes. Now I hadn't seen it. It was impossible because it was behind the building. In this moment, the red car appears. Now this is. I say, oh, that's mere chance. The Rice experiment proves that these cases are not mere chances.
I was looking for an answer. It's the question that drives us, Neo. It's the question that brought you here.
What is the Matrix? That's the truth, though, you know, and this is how the media is so effective in what it does through predictive programming. Because we are all conscious creators, and everything within our reality operates in waves of frequency. And magnetism is the pull force, and electricity is the push force. So there is a constant pushing and pulling of everything within this reality. So when we are presented with symbols, and I've talked about this, you know, many times, what a symbol is a representation of an energetic frequency, right? So when we speak in words are our attempt to divide entire concepts and meanings and break it into smaller bits. That way it can be digested and processed as information, right? But because of our limited ability to understand things, we can't really totally encompass an entire idea through words. And that's why Confucius said the world is not run through words, but through symbols, right? And symbolism. Now, a symbol actually holds the entire energy, right? Or frequency, the full embodiment of an idea or a concept or an archetype or a being. Right. So when we are fed symbols and symbolism through the television and things of that nature, what we're actually doing is our brain, through the subconscious, whether we see it or not, our eyes, our optic nerve, you know, whether we're aware or even focusing on the image and focusing on the symbol, our brain still sees it, even if we're not consciously paying attention to it, right? Even if we don't notice it, our brain still does. And we're still making that connection to that symbol. And that symbol is still embodying that energetic frequency. We are still receiving that frequency through our vision, through our eyes, through our different ways of perceiving things, right? It's transmitting to us. So we are connecting to that energy. Because we are connecting to that energy, we are either embodying that energy or attracting that energy into our life, right? Same thing works, with numerology, right? And numbers, because mathematics are the universal language. Everything operates on numbers first, right? Numbers is the base language of the universe. And every number has different associations with it, that its frequency also embodies certain things, right? We've talked about how 4 represents police and stability, and 5 represents sex, and right, 1 is masculine, 2 is feminine, 3 is the child, 1 plus 2 is 3, right? Is the child, right? And then think about that. 6, it represents the family, so on and so forth. 7 is a number of God. Everything's in sevens in this creation, right? 7 days of the week, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 chakras, 7 main planets. You get the idea. 9 is completion. 9 heavenly bodies, 9 planets outside of the bounds of Saturn. Do you see the concept here, right? So each thing represents something, right? So when we see the numbers, we see the symbols, we're connecting to that. And same thing with words. Words have power as well, right? Even though they are, in essence, smaller bits and smaller pieces of those things, and they are vibrations of the same thing. We are speaking it orally, those frequencies. We are still vibrating that out into the universe. We're still calling for that. See, our minds, our consciousness doesn't know when we're joking, when we're playing. It just knows what we're saying, right? We speak things into existence. That's why the Bible says the tongue has the power of life or death. It can curse you and it can bless you, right? You can literally speak death and curses over yourself, or you can speak life over yourself. And that's why there's power in affirmations. Words are spells. That's why we understand, we stand under the spell, the spelling, right? Like a spell of the word. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, right? God being the spirit, word being the ability for our conscious mind to communicate with ourself, right? That is the ability to be conscious, is the ability to talk to oneself, right? And to talk to one another, or what our idea of consciousness or intelligence is, right? So everything, and this is the understanding of the universal language and understanding how the universe is constantly communicating and speaking. So we're connecting to these frequencies, right? And they are pushing forth ideas to us, pushing forth scenarios to us, pushing forth things that are not even real, things that are not even happening, right? And by us believing it and accepting it as true, that's why, the number one power of mind, the number one process of mind control is repetition, right? You repeat a lie enough times, it becomes a truth. You just repeat, 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 repeat. The power of repetition. Eventually, if you repeat it enough times, it becomes fact, right? It becomes accepted as a truth. It doesn't matter if it actually happened or not. And enough people start believing it, that becomes a consensus belief of reality. That becomes a collective reality, because everybody believes that. It doesn't matter if it actually happened or not, right? We've seen that with January 6th Capitol riots. We've seen it with a bunch of school things. We've seen it with different bombings. We've seen it with 9/11. Nothing happened the way they said it happened, but history has a different version of how it happened. Why? Because the television and television programming, right, programmed us with different ideas and concepts and versions of history, which is his story, right? History goes to the victor, right? The one who won, the one who's alive gets to tell the story. He creates history, right? So that story becomes history, right? Because we believe that concept, we buy into it. And once we do, not only does that become our reality and the accepted collective reality, the same thing happens for, different beliefs, right? Belief is the enemy of knowing, right? It's the inner knowing and gnosis and knowledge within ourselves is like the true cosmic understanding, right? Conscious understanding and the true connection to the divine creator and God. But when we just accept something, on faith, on belief, right? Out of belief, right? We can be told anything, it takes, there is no proof, there is no evidence. We're just taking it on someone's word for it, or taking it because we heard it, or taking it because it feels good or sounds good, or we're manipulated into it. There's a multitude of ways, right? So when we're told that we're powerless to something, we start to become powerless because we believe that. If we're constantly singing lyrics to music that is degrading to women, sexual promiscuity, violence, drugs, we are calling that into our lives. We are attracting that into our lives. We are speaking that over our lives. If we're constantly watching television that's violent, sexual promiscuity, drugs, right? Detrimental to oneself. You are what you eat. You are what you consume. The things that you are consuming, if you aren't consuming something that brings you to enlightenment, that sharpens your intelligence, your mental acuity, and gives you the ability to look at the big picture, the ability to question the narrative, the ability to obtain knowledge in some way, shape, form, or facet, right? The ability to connect with others, like what we're doing now, this community, it's iron sharpening iron. You see, when we pull up the chat here, we're exchanging ideas, iron sharpening iron. We're gleaning off one another different perspectives of things, and we're growing from that. Nobody's propagating or forcing anything down anyone's throat. And see, when you see society, how it censors anything that they don't want. Why? Because knowledge is power, right? That's why it's information warfare, right? Psychological warfare. That's why it's the government, right? Govern means to control or lord over. Ment derives from mentality, to control your mind, right? To rule your mind. That's what the government does, because our perception is reality. Thoughts is where it all starts, right? We think it, then it becomes an emotion, and emotion is energy. Emotion, we give off that energy, and it either attracts or repels, whatever we're giving off. The reality you are in is only one of an infinite. The problem is not that most people believe that they are experiencing is a one and only true reality. This is false. Wow. Enter and attain the mind. Entertainment. How about that? Right. Enter as in enter something. Attain as in attain. Enter and attain mint the mind. Wow. Enter and attain the mind. It's like taking over the mind, holding the mind captive. I like that. And see, in the etymology of words, right? That's why everything the etymology of words is actually how you have, you can really get deep understanding and grasp a lot of things. Yeah, and we can reprogram ourselves. You know what I mean? We can decide what we program ourselves with. We can decide what we program ourselves with, and we can also, through versions of, learning to self-master, through self-mastery, by learning to control our thoughts, our emotions, and things of that nature, we are then able to filter things and be able to, to not have, to not be reactive and have everything controlling us. Right. But we can ingest and take in information, process it, right, and then be able to think about it rationally and critically, and utilize the parts that are useful, and discard the rest, right, or put it on a shelf for later, in case it goes along with something else, you know. And this helps us to construct, the reality around us. Now, whoops. I'm going to move forward here. You got a few other articles we're going to look into. And see, and this is why it's so important that everything that we actually are looking at, everything that we're studying, everything that we're getting into, we really do look at it with, critically. And we don't allow ourselves to identify. This is why I'm so big on this, and I have been for such a long time. And people, they truly do. They dislike me for it, and they dislike people like you for it too. When we criticize or cast doubt on people's religious beliefs, right, and different religions and schools of thought and ideologies, their political orientations and things like that. The reason being is because they have identified with these things, right? They identify with their political beliefs. If they voted for Donald Trump, they identify with Donald Trump. So you can't even, question him without them feeling as if you're questioning them, right? That's why, in the movie The Matrix, when it says, that anyone can be an agent, right, of the system. This is what it's talking about. We all have the ability to become agents of the system, so to speak, right? And that's how, by identifying with the system. Once we begin to do that, and we do that through accepting these labels, different, and whether, libertarian, conservative, right, Democrat, gay, straight, black, white, right? All of these different things. These are different labels that we accept. And when we accept these labels, what you'll notice is each label has, another label that's diametrically opposed to it because of the duality, right? So a polar opposite always, right? Black, there's white. Gay, there's straight. Left, there's right. Up, there's down, right? These are the polar opposites, and this is and it creates conflict. Everything within this system is conflict. We literally have two sides of our brain. Our brain is in constant conflict with itself, right? The physical and the spiritual are in constant conflict with itself. And see, there are techniques, and I did videos on this. Those who are on Patreon or have donated, I have private playlists on the gateway process, right? And through hemispheric synchronization, which is sound, right? Everything, vibration and frequency, it has the ability to make both hemispheres of the brain operate together, right? And once they are synchronized and working together, different conscious abilities start to open up. The mind starts to open up in different types of ways. And this is the same thing when it talks about making the two become one, right? The narrow gate in spirituality. This is what it's talking about, guys. Making the two become one and finding the narrow path, the narrow gate, right? This is us not being at odds with the world, right? And, the Tao, it can be referred to as the Tao. It can be referred to, as many different things, right? But it's being at peace with everything around us, not feeling the need to condemn or to condone anything, right? But to just allow, having acceptance with everything as it is and being okay with everything as it is, and allowing the mind, body, spirit, all of that to work together in unison and understanding that everything is one, right? We are all connected. It all is one, instead of seeing everything as separate and divided and in opposition with itself. Former senior advisor for Federal Reserve charged with spying for communist China. feds. China steals tens of billions of dollars worth of sensitive information from the U.S. every year. And this is an interesting one. A former senior advisor for the Federal Reserve Board of Governors was arrested on Friday for allegedly conspiring to steal trade secrets for communist China. Federal prosecutors charged 63-year-old John Harold Rogers, a U.S. citizen with a PhD in economics, with conspiracy to commit economic espionage with making false statements. And I'm telling you, I see a lot of telegraphing, a lot of predictive programming for, an economic collapse. And we're going to talk about that. I got a few videos too to share. Rogers worked in the Division of International Finance of the FRB and from 2010 until 2021, where he was entrusted with confidential FRB information, the United Department of Justice said in a statement. These confidential informations that Rogers allegedly shared with the Chinese co-conspirators who worked for the intelligence and security apparatus of China and who posed as graduate students at a PRC university is economically valuable when secret. Prosecutors explained that the data Rogers allegedly shared with his co-conspirators could allow China to manipulate the U.S. market in a manner that they described as similar to insider trading, gaining advanced knowledge of U.S. economic policy, including advanced knowledge of changes to the federal funds rate, and could provide China with an advantage when selling or buying U.S. bonds or securities, the statement said. And prosecutors said that under the guise of teaching classes in China, Rogers began stealing trade secrets and bringing them to the communist nation starting in at least 2018. In exchange for a $450,000 salary as a part-time professor at a Chinese university. When he was questioned in 2020 by federal investigators, he allegedly lied to them, which they said had a material impact on the investigation. President Trump tasked us with protecting our fellow Americans from all enemies, foreign and domestic, as alleged in the indictment. This defendant leveraged his position within the Federal Reserve to pass sensitive financial information to the Chinese government, a designated adversary, said U.S. Attorney General Edward R. Martin Jr. for the District of Columbia. Quote, let the indictment serve as a warning to all who seek to betray or exploit the United States. Law enforcement will find you and hold you accountable. And you see, man, and there's no telling what could come out of this, but I feel like we're going to see a lot more of this. This information could allow adversaries to illegally gain strategic economic advantage at the expense of the U.S. White House answers questions on Trump's actions protecting children from trans procedures. Trump signed a slew of his executive orders on the issue over the last several days. And like I said, isn't it interesting that the ZZ whatever cult, trans cult, is in the news now, and all of this is in the news as well, this offensive against the trans agenda. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt called transgender procedures on children barbaric practices and remarks she made a response to a question from Daily Wire White House correspondent. Olahan asked Leavitt during Friday's press briefing about the executive orders that Trump has signed on the issue of protecting children. Quote, is he interested in backing congressional legislation on the point? And does the Trump administration have interest in investigating doctors who perform these irreversible procedures on kids, such as double mastectomy on a minor girl? Well, the president has already taken a very strong stance on this issue this week with signing of his executive order, a few executive orders in this space. First, he made it the official policy of the federal government that there are only two sexes, male and female, and we have directed all federal agencies to comply with that policy. As far as congressional legislation to support the president's agenda in this space, and certainly ending the mutilation of young children, the chemical castration of young children, which is a barbaric practice that the vast majority of Americans do not support for young minor children, certainly the president would support Congress's efforts, as he has already made this very clear this week. Now, I'm going to go over here, right here. And let's pull up some videos here. Defense Secretary Hegseth, U.S. can send well over 30,000 illegal aliens to Guantanamo Bay. Trump also signaled this week that the capacity at the military base could be greatly expanded. And there's a few different I find the whole Guantanamo Bay thing just a little interesting because, there's a few different ways that this could, kind of come out here. So we have Trump's announcement of the deportation camps. Here we go.
Scrambling here, folks. Here it is, your Daily Dispatch for Thursday, the 30th of January, 2025. Black Hawk helicopter collides with commercial jet near Reagan National Air. Nominees will appear before the Senate today. 3 of President Trump's most contentious picks to lead government agencies will appear in Senate. The Trump administration on Wednesday rescinded a sweeping directive to pause federal loans, grants, and other financial assistance, White House officials said just shortly before it was set to appear in court for a second straight day. Haiti is good, but Guantanamo Bay is a decent place to put him in the meantime. Meanwhile, Meta reaches $25 million settlement with Trump effects on their budget. They're saying it's not a full rollback, but they are clarifying certain measures that they're taking. We'll return to that. Other big news here, Trump to build mass detention camp for deportees in Guantanamo Bay. We've been saying Haiti is good, but Guantanamo Bay is a decent place to put him in the meantime. Meanwhile,
They have the president ordered construction of the facility with room for 30,000 migrants on the U.S. naval base in Cuba. And I want to just try to show you here, too. A lot of people are even saying that what's actually taking place, and this is kind of spooky, that this is going to start off as, and if you guys remember Executive Order 13603, that was put in place by Barack Obama, Rex 84, a lot of this shit, guys. And like I said, on the West Coast, because of the directed energy weapons and the fires that have been taking place there, the hurricanes on the East Coast, there have been the building of FEMA camps. They're all over the nation already. I can show you guys that. Look at that. Look at that motherfucker. This is FEMA camp locations in the United States, y'all. Pull this up, make it bigger. Here it is. Whoops. So you see it right here. Look at that. Look at that. And they're still building more. Still building more. Now they're saying that an economic collapse could be in the near future. And it could even be intentional, right? For a plan for martial law. And to use the Insurrection Act to avoid posse comitatus. We actually talked about that in yesterday's video. Now I want you to think about Guantanamo Bay, right? This starts off as the mass deportation of illegals. Well, remember that suicide note from the ICE agent we showed in last night's video, right? That would be the cover, is deporting illegals, right? And that they would actually gas the people in the federal camps and prisons and then use Americans that they deemed as threats during martial law, to put them in there. And I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, or anything. And when you guys, and this is supposed to be a fake list here, but we all know that it's true. But you can see, this is the agenda, right? One world government, one world cashless currency, one world central bank, one world military, the end of all national sovereignty, the end of all privately owned property. That's why they're trying to, stop corporations from buying houses. The end of the family unit. If you guys remember yesterday's video, right, on depopulation, control of population growth and population density, mandatory multiple vaccines, universal basic income, microchip society for purchasing, travel, tracking, and controlling. And we've seen the quantum dot with the luciferase bioluminescence, right? The quantum dot tattoo. And remember, luciferase bioluminescence is Lucifer the light bearer. The cryptocurrency system using body activity data, right? And we know that the app eject delivery system, the dual delivery system that was used for the C-19 jabs, right? One of those jabs had an RFID chip in it, right? And remember, the place where they created RFID used to be owned by none other than Jared Kushner, right? Trump's son-in-law, and it is 666 Fifth Avenue. Go figure. He sold it, though. Implementation of a world social credit system, and that would be the cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Trillions of appliances hooked into the 5G monitoring system, the Internet of Things. We already have the Internet of Things and the Internet of Bodies. Government raised children. Like I said, this is a 10-point plan of the New World Order. We've seen the Jaffe memo, right, by Planned Parenthood as well. That goes along with a lot of this. Government owned and controlled schools, colleges, universities, the end of private transportation, owning cars, etc. We talked about that earlier in the video. Autonomous driving, right? And now they're trying to do the autonomous planes, AI controlled air traffic control, right? AI, writing prescriptions, AI, right? We went from Operation Warp Speed, which I have a video. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but I will show you a piece of it where they're saying that Operation Warp Speed, Trump and Operation Warp Speed saved us from the FEMA camps. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but it's the biggest load of dog shit I've ever heard in my life. But there's a full documentary on this. I'll show you a piece of it here in a little bit before we get out of here. And now we have the Stargate project, right? As messenger RNA jabs, right, for cancer and all of that, and the genome sequencing and all that shit, right? Neural lace, all of it. Government raised children, government owned and controlled schools, colleges, universities, into private transportation, owning cars, etc. All businesses owned by government and corporations, the restriction of non-essential air travel, human beings concentrated into human settlement zones, cities. And so smart cities, 15-minute cities, all of this, right? And then they have the UN. I'll show you the zones too. The end of private farms, grazing livestock, right? We already know that's a thing too. It's already happening. The end of single family homes. They're trying to outlaw corporations buying single family homes, right? And the ban, sorry guys, I gotta look around this camera. Restricted land use and the ban of natural synthetic drugs. So sorry about that. Where's it at here?
Lower middle class people, the working poor, they go and they get along, and there's not any crime. That's been confirmed. Very, very low crime. And they actually kind of have a good time. And they all go get jobs. And a lot of them are only in these shanty towns a few months. They go get 2 or 3 jobs. They raise the money they need, and they go get the apartment they need, or they go get the rent house they need.
I remember that Jade Helm. Yeah, Jade Helm. You guys remember Jade Helm? That was a fucking serious one, Jade Helm was. Yeah, that was Jade Helm. I'm going to pull up that exercise. And I'll show you guys. And that was a scary one, Jade Helm was. They're calling it fucking, it was 15 conspiracy theories. It's not a conspiracy theory. But this was Jade Helm, right? You guys remember Jade Helm? This is special operations. This is where they were literally simulating fucking taking over Americans, right? Martial law. That's what Jade Helm was. So, what the fuck? Hostile states, right? The conspiracy theory seems to emanate on the map. Shows here the U.S. Army Special Operations Command, which divides the region into 4 colors, with 2 hostile states, 2 permissive states, 2 states leaning one way or the other, and California divided. The conspiracy theories include psychological operation aimed at getting people used to seeing military forces on the streets so that they do not realize when an invasion actually takes place. An international operation aimed to seize people's firearms. Recently closed Walmarts used by the military to stockpile supplies for Chinese troops who will be arriving to disarm Americans, and a military plan to round up political dissidents and remove key political figures who may be against the imposition of martial law. Other theories have described Jade Helm 15 as a secret plot to impose martial law, confiscate firearms, invade Texas, and institute total population control. The theories also include concern of the name of the exercise, with Jade possibly referring to China, or an acronym for artificial intelligence developed by the U.S. military, saying that HELM is an acronym for Homeland Eradication of Local Militants. How about that? Right. There was a counter Jade Helm group to monitor the training operations and to practice counterinsurgency tactics and intelligence gathering. In August, there were men arrested by the FBI accused of plotting to resist Jade Helm with weapons and homemade bombs. 2 of the 3 men reportedly told by the owner of a military surplus store they believe Jade Helm is a cover for the imposition of martial law in the U.S. What the fuck? How about that? They say some of them, the fears were demonstrated that unfounded exercise that people be placed in the camps, a comet or asteroid impact, which we know they have, asteroid and impact scenarios every year. NASA and the World Joint, So, exercise with an apocalypse caused by a comet or asteroid striking the Earth, military exercise, to dress rehearsal for the imposition of martial law. So, yeah, basically the same thing with just, different reasons of why they would want to do it. And let's see if we can pull it up. Shit. Here we go. There's one on that. I'll get this. I will play this in just a moment, guys. Just a moment. Give me 1 second. We'll go back to where we were with the article. Hey, and if you guys are in the chat, please make sure to hit the thumbs up, man. It allows, it helps with the algorithm and allows, on YouTube, they will suggest the video to more people. So we get more people in the chat just by you hitting the thumbs up in the chat, and the more active you are in the chat and all that good shit. So, and by sharing the link too. So, all right, so let's go back over here. Where are we at? Close this down and close some of these down, guys. Sorry about that. Give it a little. Where are we at? Oh, we were on the Guantanamo Bay. Right. U.S. can send well over 30,000 illegals. And we had the video here talking about the economic collapse. So we'll do this real quick. The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, said during an interview this week that the U.S. military can increase its capacity to hold illegal aliens at Guantanamo Bay well beyond 30,000 beds they currently have ready for the job. Hegseth made the remarks during, and dude, I'm just saying, I just want to ask you this question. Let's pull up the chat here. I want to hear your opinions, hear your thoughts. Does sentient world simulation? I'd have to look at that. Let's see if we can pull that up. I love it when people give me ideas too, by the way. Shit. Okay, so I know I'm kind of all over the place here, guys, but give me 1 second. I'm trying to close some of this shit down. All right. Right here we are. All right, so Hegseth made the remarks during the Fox News interview after Trump announced Wednesday afternoon that the U.S. would be sending up to 30,000 illegal aliens to the base on Cuba. And here we go. The Jade Helm one.
Walmart that's been closed for nearly 3 months now.
All right, we got that. So we'll be back there in a second. So wide body area networks. You're gonna have to put the after the video's over, Gondola Wish, drop me some of those simulations and shit like that in the comment section. That way I can I'll definitely incorporate them into some future shit. And I also would like if anybody has any this is just I appreciate that, honestly, I really do. And keep in mind, you guys are more than I just had a dude email me the other day with asking me to do a video on Tartaria, right? And if anybody has any information, documents, text, anything on Tartaria, Atlantis, lost civilizations, any technology, anything like that, please email it to me, the realbestdampodcast@gmail.com. If you have show ideas, any PDFs, documents, anything you want to share with me that you think would be awesome, that you've never seen people talk about, that you'd like to see me cover, right? Nibiru, Planex, I don't care what it is. If you've got documents, PDFs, there's a NASA document on Nibiru. I used to have it. It's hard to find. Yes. And wide body area networks. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, please email that to me or leave it in the comment section in the video. That way I can look this stuff up and, like I said, drop links to documents and everything. Help me, help you. We will, I always try to keep the chat involved whenever I do lives, because that's like real. For one, it makes it way cooler that way, because then it's like we're doing a deep dive together. It's not like just like me dictating to you the whole time. It's like we're working together and trying to come to conclusions and piece shit together. And that's how I like to do my videos. I always have. And I have the most intelligent fucking audience there is. So we have a great community, like for real. So please help me with that. And make sure to share these videos out there, guys. Share them to your social medias, all of that shit. That really, really helps more than anything. If you share them, that way other people stumble across the links, and if you have things you want to share with me, you're more than welcome to email me, hit me up on social media, shoot me a text, whatever, as long as it's about the show and the content and it's appropriate, right? I would love to hear your thoughts. So moving forward, we absolutely can and can increase it rapidly. I served there. I know the places where this would happen. Guantanamo has long been a place for migrants. In fact, in the 90s, tens of thousands of Haitians and Cuban migrants staged there as part of a crisis. Thank you. Yeah. And I definitely need some stuff on Tartaria, right? We have an even bigger crisis on our hands right now, he continued. It was mentioned 7,500 violent illegals have been captured by ICE in the last 9 days. God bless them. Where you move them, I tell you what, no one is going to be waiting on the Defense Department. And think about that, guys. ICE is involved. It was a federal ICE agent. in 2016, right? That killed himself on Pier 40. You guys remember that? And we just showed his note about the hostile government takeover due to an economic collapse, and that they would say they were having these FEMA camps, detention camps for illegal aliens, and the economic collapse are coming to be used to actually target Americans. I did not know that the clown Dr. Phil is joining ICE raids. That's fucking funny. Dr. Phil is a clown. He is a clown for sure. So, but I mean, you can see they're putting it up there. It says, we don't want illegal criminals in the U.S. not a minute longer than they have to be. Move them off to Guantanamo Bay where they can be safely maintained until deported for their final location. Their country of origin is where they're headed. We feel great about this plan. We know we can execute it. That language is weird. And the Defense Department is prepared to do everything we can. So it's like their final location where we can execute, right? I'm just saying, man. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, right? Like for real. So here we go. Now, where's it at? Where's it at? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to look around this camera and it's hard as fuck. But I like the camera here better. You can see me better. Where's it at? Here we go. This is a clip from Alex Jones on the economic collapse. Will be used to justify FEMA camps.
Lower middle class people, the working poor, they go and they get along, and there's not any crime. That's been confirmed. Very, very low crime. And they actually kind of have a good time. And they all go get jobs. And a lot of them are only in these shanty towns a few months. They go get 2 or 3 jobs. They raise the money they need, and they go get the apartment they need, or they go get the rent house they need. That isn't going to happen now. You're going to a FEMA camp.
That's my black boy.
You're going to a FEMA camp.
Domestically, how many times in the last decade did I describe how they would roll out FEMA camps? They would say that they were for economic collapse and for housing people. And then we saw in New Orleans when they went into high and dry areas, not just in the city, but all over that state, confiscating firearms from people's homes that were high and dry and had generators, everything, and then putting people in the crime-ridden Superdome. They made people go to the Superdome where all of the drug dealers, the criminals, the rapists, and in the last 20 years, they've kicked most of the mentally ill people out of state hospitals. And so they're all in there as well. So your family can't stay in your house. You've got to go there. And then you have the gun confiscation going on. So we know how the feds operate. I've been telling you that as the tent cities pop up in Texas and Michigan and New York and Florida and California and Oregon and Arizona and Nevada, tent cities everywhere, as these Obamavilles, as Webster Tarpley calls them, pop up everywhere, that the key would be when they said, okay, you can't go out on government land, you can't go out on a national park, you can't go out on the edge of a city park where they could just bring in porta potties. We're going to make you go to sports stadiums and go to fairgrounds. And one of the guys that works here in the office lived in Sacramento. And he says the fairgrounds is, the barbed wire facing in and out. It's a perfect FEMA camp. Remember, late last year in several states, FEMA had drills at the stockyards around the country and fairgrounds of rounding people up and putting them in there and doing forced inoculations and other things. Wow. That's what's now happening. They're saying you can't go out and pitch a tent. You can't go out and live out of your car.
Don't pitch
and the people
a tent.
are trying to raise money while they do that. They're working jobs. This is the working poor. These aren't the classic alcoholic or drug addict or person who's mentally ill. You're now seeing, even here in Austin, good-looking families out begging for money. You're seeing, people that, don't fit the mold of the hobo that are doing this. It's not the poor shell-shocked PTSD Vietnam vets. And all over the nation,
that thumbs
they
up.
tell them you can't sleep on a park bench, you can't sleep, under a bridge, and then the homeless shelters are full. So at night in Austin, Texas, a couple of years,
before we let this play out a second here, Bailey says, wait, it's weird. Why isn't Bailey a moderator? All right. So Bailey says, what happens when Palantir AI decides political dissidents are likely criminals? And Palantir is Peter Thiel, right? And Palantir is like Minority Report type of shit, right? Where they can predict future crimes through AI. Is that what you're talking about, Bailey? I think that's what you're talking about. Keeps getting blocked. YouTube won't let me say it. What do you I don't know. I have certain words blocked on here, so it could be me. I have certain words, like I have racial slurs and shit like that, and just different words that I don't allow on my YouTube channel. So I don't allow certain things. I don't allow homophobic or racial stuff or anything like that. I don't allow. So I don't know. And there's a few other words I don't allow too. So it's just to keep us, because you guys, people know, if they've watched me I've had literal Google moderators come in and delete my moderators' comments. Yeah, I'm not saying, I knew you were not saying any of those things, but I'm saying that there is a list of words I do have blocked. So it could be something I had. It's not necessarily got to be anything like that. It could just be something that I believe would trigger the algorithm. And Bailey says, yep. And they have high-tech drones they announced with their recent Super Bowl commercial. Right. So let's see if we can. I love it, man. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Palantir has been secretly testing Minority Report like technology, right? Predictive policing technology. And this is fucking wild, boys. I'm telling you. Fucking telling you. Remember, Palantir is a crystal ball. Since 2004, the data mining company Palantir has quietly signed lucrative contracts with the Pentagon and United States intelligence services. According to The Verge, the CIA-backed company also been silently testing a technology in New Orleans that would give Philip K. Dick a run for his money. Predictive policing software to help cut down on violent crime in the city. This is obviously controversial. The technology relies on an algorithm that absorbs data on locations, times, and dates of previously committed crimes, then submits hotspots on a map for police officers to patrol. One glaring problem with this, researchers have found that it may promote racial profiling. A 2016 study suggested the algorithm replicated systemic bias against heavily policed communities of color, and that historical crimes data did not accurately foresee future criminal activity. Palantir reportedly took advantage of a loophole that allowed it to categorize its work as part of a philanthropic relationship with the city through Mayor Mitch Landrieu's NOLA for Life program, and the initiative never passed through a public review process. The deal has been renewed 3 times since 2012 and was set to end last week, but as of Thursday morning, neither the city nor Palantir have commented on the current status of the program. So, yeah. That's what Bailey was talking about. That's the Palantir AI. They literally have, it's like fucking Minority Report. It's wild, wild ass shit, y'all. Seriously. So, where are we at?
Years ago, you might see 2 or 3 people sleeping out front. The 4 different homeless shelters just in downtown. You'll see shots of this in the Obama reception. You go down there at night now in front of these, and there might be as many as 60, 70,
Bailey
80,
is a smart cookie.
And that'll
Bailey
just
used
be
to
out
be my
front
co-host, actually.
under the street lamps. You go around the back, they're sleeping behind dumpsters. They're everywhere. And believe me, these folks are in nasty moods. They're not drunk. They're not on drugs. It is just absolutely scary. And remember what major universities came out with in the last few months. 7 million people during the 10-year depression starved to death in this country. And that was with 90% of Americans at the time of the Depression living on farms, living in the country, being, quote, self-sufficient. But the banks called in the loans. They said, oh, well, you owe $20,000 on your family farm. You got to pay it all today. Oh, you owe $3,000 on your family farm, which was equivalent of hundreds of thousands. You got to pay it now. It's due. And from Oklahoma, Texas, Iowa, and all over the country, they had to go west. And their cars broke down. They starved to death. They literally set up slave camps. You watch the movie The Grapes of Wrath, where they're basically slaves. That's far, far better than what the reality was. Now we have 90% who are not self-sufficient, 10% living on farms, and only half of that 10% being self-sufficient. So 5% total are self-sufficient, 10% living on farms. So you have 10% living on farms or ranches, but only half of those are self-sufficient. That's 5% of the country instead of 90% being self-sufficient. This is about domestication. This is about control. This is this highly organized and manipulated society. This is the crises they bring in third world nations and old world nations. IMF World Bank documents by design to reorganize society. This is a literal military attack financially. And now Schwarzenegger is saying in the state of California, you're not going to sleep on the street. You're not going to sleep in a park. You're not going to pull up in your van. You're not going to sleep in your van.
We know that
the cities aren't going to provide porta potties anymore. You're going to go to FEMA centers with federal funds, and they're going to be fairgrounds, and they're going to be sports stadiums. That's why they built them all over the country. And there'll be nightly movies and bands that come in and play for them. And it'll be on the news. Oh, look, the camp is fun. And your family will have to be around all the crackheads and all the smackheads and all the schizophrenics and all the mentally ill people and all the psychos and all the racists. Because what happens is the smackheads get their own little shanty town. The cokeheads get their own little shanty town. This is how it works in California and places. And the lower middle class people, the working poor, they go and they get along, and there's not any crime. That's been confirmed. Very, very low crime, and they actually kind of have a good time, and they all go get jobs, and a lot of them are only in these shanty towns a few months. They go get 2 or 3 jobs, they raise the money they need, and they go get the apartment they need, or they go get the rent house they need. That isn't going to happen now. You're going to a FEMA camp, and you and your family and your children are going to be there, and there's going to be CPS there, and they're going to say, oh, look, we've observed you with your 5-year-old son or daughter in here. That means that you're not competent to take care of your children, and they're at risk, and we're going to take your children. And that's in the California news, and California is the model for the rest of the country. So when we come back, Schwarzenegger opens California Fairground to keep the most powerful, effective.
So, I mean, interesting to say the least. He's a fucking, he's controlled opposition too, so very clearly. Back to the Jade Helm 15 shit. Where's it at here? Here we go.
Walmart that's been closed for nearly 3 months now is apparently.
And I want you guys to remember, a lot of you guys will remember, or Janet Napolitano and emergency crisis response. So all these Walmarts too. So I showed you the map of the FEMA camps earlier. Pretty sure I showed you that, right? I showed you the map of the FEMA camps. Where are they at? Right here. Right? These are all the FEMA camps across the United States. Right? So keep in mind that since this map was created, they've built new ones for sure. They're building them definitely North Carolina and shit like that, where they had the hurricanes. I would guarantee as a result of the fires, there'll be something popping up as well. And then all the Walmarts are actually ready-made FEMA camps as well. They have guard towers on the top, every underground tunnel systems in a lot of them. When I showed you guys the underground tunnels and roadways yesterday in yesterday's video and how they connect to miles and miles. I'll show you real fast. I'll show you real quick. Here we go. This is the underground tunnel network in the United States right here. See that? Notice how, I want you to remember that FEMA camp map. Oops. There it is. There we go. FEMA camp map. Now, the tunnels. Do you see similarity here? Yeah.
Still open. Jonathan McCall is reporting live for us with the video and details you'll see first tonight on Fox 23 News.
Well, since the store closed back in April, Clay, many people have been wondering exactly what's been going on inside the walls here. Tonight, we're getting some answers in the form of a video featuring 2 Tulsa police officers. For the last few months,
you have to drive from here to, like I say, either the Sand Springs or you're going to have to drive to 21st.
Ted Baldwin has added a few more miles to his grocery trips. That's because the Walmart he usually shops at Memorial and Admiral has been closed since April. We told you then the store was one of 5 across the country closed abruptly. Walmart officials say it was to fix plumbing issues. Rumors, though, have run rampant since then that the store would be torn down or even used as part of a government operation. 2 Tulsa police officers are spilling secrets about what's really happening inside.
Man, they're gutting the whole thing.
This nearly 7-minute video shot by Brian Moore shows Tulsa officers Billy Burson and Darrell Ross chatting about everything from good cops, store security, and even more. Moore came across the duo while using his drone. TPD sources tell me it's likely someone tried breaking into the store to see if there was work actually being done. At the site,
What are vehicles doing here at
Trucks.
Fox 23 News.
Midland Walmart, completely gutted. Jade Hill. Zoom in. Look at all this. Yeah. Hear the lightning? Got military vehicles here at Walmart in Forney, Texas. And I worked in this little white building here. See, it's like a military style entrance, kind of like a FEMA camp.
More lights. These are FEMA camps. And you can see they have fucking playgrounds and everything in these bitches. It's fucking wild, man.
Not tanks, but just army. Well, how far have you actually ran a load?
Here we go.
Goes all the way to Washington, D.C. Yeah, you Homeland Security? Yeah. Peace, brother.
Underground tunnels.
When they go underground, they can stay underground for quite some time. And this is stocked with food, water, everything they need. It's an underground city. So this is the north entrance, and we're going to go see if we can do some more digging.
Usually we kind of wide right up in here. You got to work wide here. Okay, what's this Walmart, people?
So as you can see, I mean, this is a refresher for a lot of you guys, man, but just the truth being told, like, Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and Genghis Khan says, I wonder if they're still going to use them. Maybe they're just waiting till martial law ensues. And that's the thing. Uh, what kind of sketchy to me, shady to me, um, is during Trump's first term in office, right? We had, COVID, national emergency declared, right? Stay at home orders, all that shit, right? Mandatory vaccinations, the whole nine, you know. We became prisoners to the World Health Organization. Um, we seen where all these conspiracies about the CDC coffins and shit like that, we seen where all that was coming from and why, you know. Matter of fact, we're gonna show you this CDC coffins. Surprised they haven't scrubbed it. And see, there you go. There's FEMA camps, homes for fire survivors right there. Right? Like, this is just what they do. This is what they do. One crisis after another. Problem, reaction, solution. I'm very interested to see why they don't have the FEMA or their CDC coffins, but and it's in Atlanta, I believe, is where they make them. But people call them FEMA caskets or whatever. But they're not by FEMA. They're actually by the CDC, which you guys know. COVID and all that shit. Yeah, they wiped it. You can't hardly find none of this shit anymore, guys. That's what's crazy about all of it. It really is. It's crazy. Everything, there it is. Setting up major command site. You know, this is what they do. What they've been doing. And this is when it was all rolling in. When they were offering to, with the funeral calls, to COVID-19, all that. My dad passed away back in 2020 during all that. You guys may remember that. Weird. There we go. There it is. Bam. They're not in the coffins, they're CDC coffins. This is an old video. 15 years ago. But you can see them. And I believe they can fit like 3 bodies or some shit like that inside of them. I mean, so it's just wild shit, you know. They've been planning for something. You don't have all of these FEMA camps. You don't have all of these deep underground military bases. You don't have Walmart essentially being federalized, right? Janet Napolitano and FEMA, right? The emergency crisis response. All the Walmarts are ready-made FEMA camps as well. That's a fact. You know, that's not a conspiracy. That's why they're used and they're everywhere. You know, all over the United States. They have guard towers, the whole nine. Some of them are connected to the underground tunnels network. Some are not. We have an underground tunnel network that is connected to all of these FEMA camps and deep underground military bases and all of this. You know, the rich are buying up, bunkers and shit like that. So it's all starting to add up. We have Executive Order 13603, Rex 84, the Patriot Act, reauthorization of the Patriot Act 2020. Everything is telling you, and then not to mention, like we said, in yesterday's video, we have people like the federal ICE agent, leaking that information, saying like if Americans knew what the government was doing, they would rise up and overthrow it because it's that nefarious, right? Through Rex 84, they have detention camps set up. They're going to there's an imminent economic collapse, and that's what they're going to say it's a cyber attack from China, cut off communications, cut off the grid, and go after their targets, preppers, and people like you and I. And by the time people figure out what's going on, it'll be too late. They'll gas everyone that's already in the federal detention centers to make room for the dissidents and the people that they deem a threat, and they will fill those camps in the name of going after illegal aliens. And we see all of these things happening. And in Trump's first term, during the transition, we had 30,000 National Guard troops. The New World Order was rolled out during his first 4 years, and I'm going to show you this video. This is fucking wild, boys. Wild. Let's see. This is one more for that ass right here. Hold on. Okay, this is a fucking piece of propaganda if I ever seen one in my fucking life here, guys.
They had a whole agenda to put the unvaccinated away into quarantine camps, and they were going to
listen
round
to
people
this
up and
shit.
put them into camps.
If there are people who are non-compliant, there are definitely laws and public health powers that can quarantine people in mandatory settings.
I think regional quarantine facilities are going to be needed into the future. We'll also need it for unvaccinated people.
Or you could track people, put bracelets on their arms, have police and other setups to ensure quarantine is undertaken.
Hit the thumbs up if you're in the chat for me.
So then the police officers blocked my driveway. I walked out and I said, "What's going on? Are you guys testing me for COVID? What's happening?" They said, "No, you're getting taken away and you have no choice. You're going to Howard Springs." So I just said, "Look, I don't consent to this. I don't understand why I can't just self-isolate at home like a lot of other people are doing." And they just said, "We've just been told from higher up where to take you, and that's all that there is."
I have to tell you, I'm doing a story tonight that I wanted to debunk these FEMA camps. I'm tired of hearing, you know about them? Sure. I'm tired of hearing it. I wanted to debunk them. Well, we've now for several days done research on them. I can't debunk them.
FEMA camps, mandatory quarantine, involuntary isolation, being taken from your home by the police against your will, locked up in a small prison cell, separated from all your beloved ones for an unknown period of time. Millions of perfectly healthy people who had no symptoms of any illness whatsoever were arrested and locked up in quarantine camps around the world. And that was only the initial stage of something that would have become humanity's worst nightmare. those who tried to escape from these quarantine camps were aggressively hunted down by the police.
Good morning. We start with breaking news out of Darwin, where 3 people have escaped from the Howard Springs COVID quarantine facility. Talia Sava's there for us. Talia, good morning. There's a search underway right now.
Yes, that's right, Davina. Good morning to you. We've been told the trio scaled the fence in the early hours of this morning. Police receiving reports around 4:40 a.m. Now, major police checkpoints have been set up around Howard Springs for the past several hours. As you can see in these pictures, they've been conducting thorough searches in car boots, checking vehicle registrations, cars and buses alike.
Quarantine camps are a reality in Washington state. I'm here at Camp Solomon Schechter, normally a Jewish summer camp, but Washington State Department of Health has contracted it out to house people who are in isolation and quarantine because they are ill or have had close contact. The code is now also on the books in Washington state, allowing local health officials to isolate or quarantine someone against their will.
It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. You feel like you're in prison. You feel like you've done something wrong. It's inhumane what they're doing. Like you are so small. They just overpower you, and you're literally nothing. It's like you do what we say, or you're in trouble. We'll lock you up for longer.
Hundreds of FEMA camps have been built all around the United States. In the state of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill that says that any unvaccinated person can be locked up in a quarantine camp. The bill also states that any means necessary may be used to forcibly vaccinate anyone. The
You guys remember
CDC
that?
developed the shielding approach, which allows for the detaining of large numbers of people for long periods of time.
To bring China into the creation of a new
Here we go.
world order.
It was, however, consistently labeled as a conspiracy theory in a desperate attempt to blind the mind of the public for it. Meanwhile, world leaders kept preparing for it.
Nothing less than a new world order. This is the pledge of the world's most powerful leaders, representing 90% of the global economy.
And the 2020 pandemic, with all its tyranny, was openly declared to be this long-awaited new world order.
Die Polizei ist gerade da. Polizei! Ich will die Hände sehen! Auf den Boden! Auf den Boden, runter! Beide! Runter auf den Boden!
This week, a Kenyan policeman enforcing the country's coronavirus curfew was charged with murdering a 13-year-old boy. At least 7 people were killed in the first 5 nights of the restrictions brought in Kenya.
The new world order, our army comes marching in, partnering with police to help enforce the country's tough new quarantine laws.
We've got to accept that this is the new world order.
Interestingly, at the very start of the 2020 pandemic, the United Nations suddenly launched a new website, which was called United Nations New World Order, with this screen as a bold statement. The World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum publicly stated that it was their full intention to make this tyrannical New World Order permanent.
I want to be straight with you. There will be no return to the old normal for the foreseeable future. I repeat, there will be no return to the old normal for the foreseeable future.
So people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again in how we are used to normal, in the old fashion. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen.
So if their publicly stated plan was to make this permanent, why then did it stop? What happened?
Here's the propaganda.
Who stopped this nefarious plot?
Who do you think they're going to say?
Answer from a very fascinating man that I met in California. His name is Chad Vivas, and he's one of the most exceptional and courageous classic artists of our time.
This is what you painted, one of your paintings. And then this one, you painted this one too. The life-size paintings almost. And then you painted this. Progress is almost done, but I mean, the detail, the accuracy, the perfection. And then you painted this. You're an intelligent guy. You're a very gifted guy. You could use your time for 5 million other things. Tell the world why. Do you spend your life painting these topics?
Yeah, I mean, Trump stopped the New World Order. He's stopping the New World Order right now. And the biggest proof to me is seeing warp speed stop the FEMA camps. And the biggest proof to me is seeing warp speed stop the FEMA camps.
Motherfucker. When I heard this, my fucking jaw hit the floor. I'm like, what did this motherfucker just say? He said that Operation Warp Speed stopped the FEMA camps. Like, bruh, or like, are you for real? Like he's got a straight look. He's looking straight into the camera. Like he's got a straight face when he's saying this shit. You know? The Trump delusion is such a fucking strong one, guys. It really is. It gets a hold of people. It gets a hold of people. I have family members and everything like that. I mean, it will snatch a hold of your soul, you know. In their eyes, he's a Christ-like, he's a savior. You know, him versus the global elite. He's a global elite. Him versus the Jesuits. He's a fucking Jesuit. Him versus the Freemason. He's a Mason. Like, him versus the Satanic Cabal. He's part of the Satanic Cabal. Him versus the Zionist. He's a Zionist shill. Trump was chosen by God. And these people literally think that Operation Warp Speed is what saved us from FEMA camps. Operation Warp Speed was the rollout of the vaccines. you know. And I wonder what they're going to say about the Stargate project in the future. I want, you know, and there, there's something, you know, you got to admit, there's something different taking place when this guy's in office. Like, you can't deny it. Like, you know. You know, many people believe, you know, this is the last president. Let's see if we can find that site. (1900) or the last president. And this is a little sample of the last president, 1900s, Ingersoll Lockwood. Listen to this story, just a little bit of it. That was a terrible night for the great city of New York. The night of Tuesday, November the 3rd, 1896, the city staggered under the blow like a huge ocean liner which plunges full speed with terrific crash into a mighty iceberg and recoils shatter and trembling like an aspen. The people were gathered, light-hearted and confident at the evening meal. When the news burst upon them, it was like a thunderbolt out of an azure sky. Outgeld holds Illinois hard and fast in the Democratic line. The elects Bryan President of the United States. Strange to say, the people in the upper portion of the city made no movement to rush out of their houses and collect in the public squares. Although the night was clear and beautiful, they sat as if paralyzed with a nameless dread. When they conversed, it was with bated breath and throbbing hearts. In less than half an hour, mounted policemen dashed through the streets, calling out, "Keep within your houses. Close your doors and barricade them. The entire east side is in a state of uproar. Mobs of vast size are organizing under the lead of anarchists and socialists and threaten to plunder and despoil the houses of the rich who have wronged and oppressed them for many years. Keep within doors, extinguish all lights." Happily, Governor Morton was in town, and although a deeper pallor overcame the ashen hue of age as he spoke, yet there was no tremor in his voice. "Let the 7th, 22nd, and 71st Regiments be ordered under arms." In a few moments, hundreds of messengers could be heard racing through the silent streets, summoning the members of these regiments to their armories. Slowly, but with astonishing nerve and steadiness, the mobs pushed the police northward. And although the force stood the onslaught with magnificent courage, yet beaten back, the dark masses of infuriated beings surged up again with renewed fury and strength. Will the troops be in time to save the city? Was the whispered inquiry among the knots of police officials who were directing the movements of their men. I want to just kind of show you some of this. About 9 o'clock, with deafening outcries, the mob, like a four-headed monster breathing fire, flame, raced, tore, burst, raged into Union Square. The police force was exhausted, but their front was still like a wall of stone, save that it was movable. The mob crowded it steadily to the north, while the air quivered and was rent with mad vociferations of the victors. "Bryan is elected! Bryan is elected! Our day has come at last! Down with our oppressors! Death to the rich man! Death to the gold bugs! Death to the capitalists! Give us back the money you have ground out of us! Give us back the marrow of our bones which you have used to grease the wheels of your chariots." Now, this is just the beginning here. It's on 5th Avenue. Just to show you what this basically amounts to. It is the anarchists and the socialists in a war, and it's Don Trump that is actually at the head of this. Here we go. I can't, it's not giving me the whole thing. It's King Don Trump, basically. He's the last president, and he lives in Fifth Avenue, and I think it's Castle Trump or some shit like that. And as you guys know, Fifth Avenue, Trump Tower, right? And he is the last president presiding over a war between the anarchists and the socialists. It's just very similar to what we see taking place now. And if you can't see the predictive programming in this, right here, could Donald Trump be the last president? This is where all this shit comes from, right? From the book 1900, The Last President. And there are sites that actually even talk about this as well. It's a time of civil unrest, right? And then we also have Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, all of this shit, right? All by Ingersoll Lockwood. This is where the whole Trump being this is where the whole time traveler shit comes from, 200-year-old book right here. This is 3 days ago. 200-year-old books predicted Trump's return and the rise of his son, Barron. A pair of 19th century novels by an obscure American author sending the internet into a frenzy as they predicted Donald Trump's return to the White House and his youngest son, Barron Trump's rise. The two novels that fueled wild theories are Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, which was published in 1888, and The Last President, which was published in 1896. Trump, serving as the 47th president of the United States, what has left the internet into a frenzy is a pair of 19th century novels. But now with Trump's return to the White House, stories from the book surfaced on social media and started to fuel a wild conspiracy theories that claim to predict political chaos, Trump's family ties, and even if he could be the last president, the novels Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey and The Last President were written by Ingersoll Lockwood. They fuel conspiracy theories that Donald Trump may have been predicted as a pivotal figure in history. The theories say that two novels, which we just said, feature a character named Baron Trump who lives in Castle Trump, and I believe his dad's Don. The character's family has a German ancestry in the sequel, The Last President. A contentious election causes unrest in New York City with protests on Fifth Avenue. The fictional president appoints a cabinet member named Pence. And you remember Trump and Pence. The author describes Baron Trump as a curious, arrogant, and destined for greatness. The wild theories first started making waves on TikTok. One post now has millions of views, highlighted the eerie similarities between fiction and reality, which, you know what, honestly, this is way before TikTok. The two novels fueled theories, Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey and The Last President, parallels to real life. They've been floating around, has garnered over 5.9 million views. Comments ranging from "this can't be a coincidence" to "time travel is real." Others point out that pop culture's uncanny knack for predicting the future, like The Simpsons. And these time travel rumors related to Trump gained attention during his presidency. Some theorists link these novels to Trump's late uncle, John G. Trump, renowned scientist who analyzed Nikola Tesla's papers. Tesla, famous for his groundbreaking inventions and theories on energy and time, has become a central figure in these conspiracies, while some speculating that Trump inherited knowledge of time travel through his uncle. So, I mean, you guys have probably heard all this stuff before. I just think it's fucking wild, and to me, it's like The Simpsons and books like this. It's not because they were predicting the future. It's because we are so powerful that we create it, by it being put into the collective unconscious. So, I've been going for quite a while tonight, so I think I'm going to wrap this one up. Yeah, it's getting late. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do want to ask everybody that's watching in the live chat, everybody who checks this out on the flip side, please, please, please give this a thumbs up, guys. Give me a thumbs up. It really does help with the algorithms and all of that. And consider donating, supporting to the channel. We're completely viewer powered, so that's how I'm able to continue creating. That's how I take care of me. And it's just greatly appreciated for everybody who financially supports. Big ups and big thanks to you guys. I'm very grateful for that. If you would like to support this channel and my work, you can go to paypal.me, the Best Damn Podcast, Cash App, Best Damn Podcast, Facebook.com, John Keane, Best Damn Podcast, and you can go through Messenger, through Facebook Messenger Pay. Or you can also go to patreon.com, Best Damn Podcast Official, and join us over on Patreon and check out our private content. And if you donate on any of the other platforms, I'll send you links to the unlisted playlists and stuff like that too, if you text me. If you would like to book a personal tarot or astrology reading, text 513-393-2396. That's 513-393-2396, or email the Real Best Damn Podcast at gmail.com. Please follow me, Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, TikTok at The Best Damn Podcast. We have 3 YouTube channels. We just got one of them back. Please, everybody go subscribe. It's John Keane. It's my name. So it's youtube.com, John Keane, JONKEEN 33. I got like 712 subscribers. Help me reach 1,000. I really would like to get that one monetized, considering none of my Best Damn Podcast ones can be monetized. They're all demonetized. Subscribe to the backup channel, youtube.com, Best Damn Podcast. And then the main one is youtube.com, Best Damn Podcast Official. And we're on BitChute, DLive, Twitch, Odyssey, everywhere, man, everywhere. Fucking Pinterest, LinkedIn, you name it, I'm everywhere. So I've been doing this for a long time. We got a big library of videos. I put out a bunch of new videos lately. Go check those out, man. Put in a lot of research, a lot of work in those. So hopefully you guys appreciate it and you get something out of it. I do have a new Discord as well. They deleted my old Discord. We had well over 1,000 people on our server. So go join us over on Discord. Yeah, thank you so much, man. Thank you, Kimberly F., Sammy Lins, Bangus Khan, Bailey, Gondola Wish. Thank you so much. See some other people I've seen in here. There was Eric Ibu Elliott, Claudette Malespina. Yeah, I just appreciate everybody, man, so much. I really do. So I guess I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and consider donating, supporting. All right. Thank you, guys. I love you. Oops. And y'all have an awesome, awesome weekend, and I'll see you next time. Peace.